In the Tower of God Ultimate Tournament, a massive crowd watches as the legendary player Subai takes on the final boss. His hands are a complete blur, executing commands with impossible speed and precision. Surrounded by a breathless audience, Subai remains laser-focused as the boss's health drops to a critical 10%. On-screen, his character unleashes a storm of attacks, filling the air with catastrophic damage numbers. The silver-haired warrior clashes with the beast in a desperate, final exchange of blows. But the demonic boss roars in defiance, mocking the intruder forever thinking he could be defeated. Unfazed, the hero declares that if gods stand in his way, he will slay them, and this day would be the beast's last. With a final, earth-shattering cry, he unleashes a blinding ultimate skill that consumes everything. This is the man who conquered the tower, a master of elements and the blade destined for greatness. And as victory is declared on the 999th floor, the crowd erupts, chanting the name of the god who finally defeated the final boss. Amidst the roaring crowd, Subai screams in triumph, declaring himself the only one who could conquer all 999 floors. But in the next instant, his victorious celebration twists into an expression of pure, undiluted shock. A mysterious, shadowy force suddenly strikes him down, cutting his victory short in a flash of red. He collapses lifelessly to the ground as his friends cry out his name in utter disbelief and horror. While his monitor blares the historic victory message, a desperate shout to call an ambulance cuts through the chaos. The unbelievable news spreads like wildfire. The god who cleared the tower died at the very moment of his success. Yet, his consciousness drifts into a dark, digital void, questioning if this is truly death and what lies beyond the final floor. This all began 10 years ago, when the Tower of God descended upon the world, ushering in a new era for humanity. It brought forth a world of demons and danger, but also granted mankind the chance to obtain superpowers and endless resources. And now, a new generation of challengers is asked if they are truly ready to enter that very tower and seize their own destiny. Subai jolts awake in a strange classroom, his body instinctively ready for a fight as his mind struggles to understand where he is. He's completely bewildered as a classmate loudly proclaims his goal to get an SSS-grade crystal, a dream Subai thought was just part of a game. The other students laugh, calling such a rare item an impossible fantasy, but their words trigger a chilling memory for Subai: the Tower of God. The entire class is buzzing with the naive excitement of new challengers, all boasting about the power they will soon seize. It turns out these students have endured 10 grueling years of training, just for the chance to enter the tower from their fortress-like academy. As a leaderboard reveals, this world's tower has only been cleared to the 99th floor. Subai has a world-shattering realization. He's been reborn into the very game he once conquered. A wicked smile spreads across his face as he understands that in a world this far behind, his knowledge makes him an unstoppable god. Suddenly, an instructor slams their hand on a desk, demanding absolute silence from the eager recruits. The time has finally come, as they are told to prepare to receive their fated teleportation crystals. A glowing artifact is presented to a student with one final command: crush it and begin the climb. The instructor wishes the hype students good luck, handing out the glowing crystals that will begin their journey. But Subai holds his with a cold determination, vowing that this time he will conquer the tower completely. With a single, decisive squeeze, he shatters the artifact and activates his entry into the game. He materializes in a digital void where the system shockingly detects his old account, promising a return to his god-tier status. But just as he realizes he could be invincible, the login fails and his past life's data is mercilessly wiped in an instant. His account is completely reset, and he's thrown back into the familiar beginner town, stripped of all his power. Just as despair sets in, he receives an unread message from a mysterious sender. It's a hidden reward for clearing the 999th floor in his past life, a supreme artifact called the Clock of All Things. This item's quality is beyond legendary, a rank so high it completely breaks the world's known power scaling system. Now wearing the divine clock, he learns it can upgrade anything with 100% success, an insane ability for a player who just got reset to level 1. Subai arrives at the familiar starter tavern just as a world announcement declares his nation has already cleared the newbie zone, granting everyone a massive stat buff. Inside, players are celebrating a so-called sword god Lin, the hero who secured their nation's early advantage. Reminded that death in this world is now permanent, Subai sees the 10% boost has already been applied to his pathetic level 1 stats. Suddenly, his divine artifact activates, detecting his junk-tier sword and armor as upgradable equipment. He's in disbelief, questioning if even this worthless white gear can truly be enhanced. The system confirms a 100% success rate, shocking him with the reality that his artifact's power is absolutely broken. His mind races with the possibility of forging legendary items from trash, but his ambition is instantly crushed by an insufficient coins error. The excitement drains away as he remembers a crucial fact. He is completely and utterly broke. With renewed focus, he realizes his first step isn't leveling up, but making money in a world where it solves everything. After all, the colossal Tower of God looms over them, a final challenge that will demand every resource he can possibly gather. The rules of the tower are brutal. New players have just 7 days to secure a new class, or they're permanently expelled. This creates a desperate economy where countless beginners fail, begging for the class change crystals needed to survive. But for Su Bai, a man who has already conquered this world once, this is just another system to exploit. His plan begins not on the battlefield, but in a local tavern where he approaches the owner with a bizarre offer. He claims to have the recipe for the legendary rare beast blood wine, a claim so bold she immediately dismisses him as a fraud. With a sharp threat to smash his skull if he's lying, she reluctantly gives him a chance to prove his words. He calmly jots down the priceless formula, demanding 5 gold coins up front, while hinting at even greater secrets he holds. Moments later, the entire tavern is left speechless as she holds a glass of the finished product, its crimson glow proving he was telling the truth. A frantic bidding war immediately breaks out among the patrons, all desperate for a single taste of the mythical drink. But the tavern owner shuts down the entire room with a single shout, forcefully claiming the legendary wine for herself. She downs the entire glass in one go, her eyes wide with disbelief at its otherworldly taste and power. He calmly asks for her verdict, but she immediately demands to know how many more of these priceless recipes he's hiding. Su Bai reveals he has 5 more, offering them all for a mere 20 gold coins, a deal so bold it earns her complete admiration. With a heavy bag of gold now in hand, he realizes he's secured enough capital to power up his unique system once more. But his reward doesn't end there, as she gifts him a high-quality premium dagger, a weapon far beyond what any beginner should possess. He thanks her and turns to leave, but she makes it clear their lucrative partnership has only just begun. With a confident smirk, he hints at a past connection she can't possibly understand, promising to return for their old friendship. His calculated charm works perfectly, leaving the powerful tavern owner completely captivated by the enigmatic newcomer. Wasting no time, Su Bai immediately takes his new weapon and begins pouring his freshly earned resources into its first upgrade. He knows the cost is steep, but the massive power boost is essential for his plan to dominate the early game before anyone else can even react. With a single command, Su Bai successfully upgrades his dagger, consuming a massive amount of silver for an insane stat boost, and he grins with absolute confidence, knowing this power makes clearing the tower's first floor a trivial task. Wasting no time, he sprints towards the Tower of God, ready to begin his climb, but arrives at the beginner zone only to find it in chaos, with dozens of players fighting over a single, worthless mob. A desperate team closes in on their target, a pathetic wild rabbit, claiming it as their own, when suddenly, Su Bai appears, calmly questioning their pathetic struggle over such a cute and useless creature. He then turns and walks into an unguarded, dangerous area, ignoring a desperate warning from a nearby player. Unfazed, he steps deeper into the woods as a massive, serpentine creature silently stalks him from the shadows. The creature, a deadly wind serpent, lunges with blinding speed, prompting the horrified player to scream for his life. Yet Su Bai casually parries the attack with one hand, mocking the supposedly dangerous monster as nothing more than a tiny snake. The onlookers stare in utter disbelief, unable to comprehend how Su Bai just instantly killed the wind serpent. He casually dismisses their shock, questioning why they struggled with a monster that died from a simple wave of his hand. The party frantically tries to warn him about the lethal dangers ahead, explaining that death is permanent for them. Unfazed by their pleas, he simply flicks a single copper coin towards them as a mocking gesture. He tosses them the coin for their trouble and walks away, leaving them completely stunned by his arrogance. Convinced he's a madman, the party scoffs, predicting his inevitable death within the next 5 minutes. But Su Bai presses deeper into the forbidden woods, noting with satisfaction that no other players dare venture this far. Suddenly, another serpent lunges, but he effortlessly parries and counters, slicing through the beast in a single, fluid motion. As the monster dissolves into loot, he realizes that farming these weak creatures is far too slow for his grand ambitions. Just then, a swarm of glowing red eyes appears in the darkness, as an entire pack of serpents emerges to surround him. Instead of being overwhelmed, Su Bai unleashes a storm of blades, effortlessly wiping out the entire serpent pack with a taunting grin. Yet he remains unimpressed, knowing that farming these weaklings yields far too little reward for his grand ambitions. Suddenly, a system-wide announcement declares the start of a new season, resetting all records and igniting a race for legendary first kill rewards. A confident smirk crosses his face as he remembers his divine item, vowing that this time, no one else will stand a chance against him. Meanwhile, in the starting fields, regular players feel a sense of hopelessness, knowing the competition is far beyond their reach. They gossip that only the ultra-rich heirs of the great families could possibly claim the top spots, lamenting the power of wealth. As if on cue, a fully decked-out princess in legendary gear worth millions walks past, flanked by powerful bodyguards. Completely demoralized, the common players abandon their dreams and resign themselves to hunting simple rabbits. But back in the Forbidden Woods, Subai continues his merciless slaughter, executing perfect one-hit kills with impossible efficiency. In a brilliant flash of blue light, he levels up, officially beginning his climb to the top, and proving that knowledge is the ultimate power. His grind pays off as he levels up, getting not just stats but a rare black iron chest as a reward. But a sudden system announcement reveals the rankings, showing other players are already pulling ahead of him. Unfazed, he smirks, knowing their temporary lead means nothing against his ultimate plan for domination. He turns his focus to the chest, ready to claim the gear that will kickstart his true ascent. Inside, he finds basic armor, but the real prize is a system prompt offering to upgrade his equipment. Weighing his options, he decides to ignore defense and pour all his resources into his weapon for maximum power. With a confident smile, he initiates the upgrade, channeling immense energy into his refined dagger. The system confirms a successful enhancement, but for a regressor like him, a single upgrade is nothing. Discovering he can upgrade it 8 times, he decides to risk it all and push the weapon to its absolute limit. In a blinding flash of power, he succeeds, creating a legendary weapon no beginner should ever possess. His newly forged dagger glows with power, its stats far exceeding anything a beginner should possess. He grips the weapon, realizing its raw attack power is all he needs to dominate the early game. With his ultimate tool secured, he sprints towards his true objective, the beginner zone boss and entry into the Tower of God. He knows the stakes are high, as only the first 10 players to kill the boss will gain access on day 1. Arriving at the boss's supposed location, he feels confident that victory is within his grasp. But suddenly, the sounds of a massive battle echo through the mountains, and a horrifying thought crosses his mind: someone beat him here. He rushes forward to find not just one player, but a huge, organized guild clashing with a swarm of monsters. Peeking from behind cover, he's stunned to see every single one of them is equipped with expensive, excellent-grade gear. Then he sees their leader, a woman from the renowned Lin family, whose full set of rare-grade armor makes his own legendary dagger feel like a child's toy. She commands her forces with absolute authority, a true rival who has crushed his plans before they even began. Lin Yukan commands her elite forces to charge forward in a perfectly coordinated assault. Her second-in-command smugly declares that their entry into the Tower of God is all but guaranteed. But she remains wary, knowing other powerful families are vying for the exact same prize. Suddenly, her sharp senses detect a hidden presence in the shadows, and she immediately calls out the intruder. A lone player emerges with a casual greeting, but his low level instantly draws suspicion from the guild leaders. Subai claims he's just a solo player passing by, an excuse that sounds completely unbelievable given the circumstances. The guild leader glares, knowing it's impossible for a lone player to have survived the path her entire army struggled through. He nonchalantly tries to walk away, acting as if he has no interest in their high-stakes battle. But then her lieutenant realizes the terrifying truth. This newcomer plans to use their entire guild as bait to steal the boss. Enraged by this deception, she commands her battalions to stop him at all costs, vowing no one will steal the glory she has fought so hard for. Subai stands surrounded, dismissing the guild's massive numbers as a mere nuisance for dragging him into their fight. The guild's commander scoffs, utterly baffled that a mere level 2 rookie would dare to resist their entire force. He gives the order to eliminate Subai quickly, so their leader doesn't lose her chance at the boss kill as his soldiers charge forward. An arrow whistles through the air, aimed directly at the seemingly helpless solo player. But with impossible speed, Subai parries the shot, leaving the guild leader Lin Yukan completely stunned by his reflexes. As her swordsmen close in for the kill, he smirks, questioning if they truly believe they have what it takes to stop him. In a flash of movement, Subai leaps into a graceful arc, his blade a blur of orange light aimed at his attackers. The soldiers' confident expressions instantly contort into pure terror as they realize the overwhelming power difference. Their commander screams in disbelief, unable to process what is happening before his very eyes. Because in a single instant, the level 2 rookie has already wiped out his vanguard, forcing him to frantically order a full retreat. Subai stands confidently among the defeated, mocking his opponents for being nowhere near strong enough to kill him. He then unleashes a furious storm of slashes, each one landing as a devastating critical hit on the armored soldiers. With his forces decimated, the enemy commander can only scream for his men to retreat from the massacre. Enraged at the humiliation, he threatens Subai, warning him that he has no idea who he's just angered. But the lone player simply smirks, promising that anyone who stands in his way will pay the price. Just as the commander's rage boils over, his own leader, Lin Yukon, furiously orders him to shut his mouth. She steps forward to personally confront the overwhelming player, shielding her subordinate from his intimidating presence. Realizing brute force is useless, she changes tactics entirely, stepping forward to propose a deal. Now, facing the entire guild by himself, Subai seems intrigued by this sudden offer of peace. Because Lin Yukon has already analyzed his movements and knows this is no ordinary player, he's on a completely different level. She smoothly offers a truce, asking the lone warrior to name his price for peace. But her subordinate protests, only to be harshly silenced by his leader who knows the Tower of God raid is at stake. With all eyes on him, Subai turns the tables, demanding a protection fee from the entire guild for their lives. Her second-in-command explodes with rage, unable to believe the sheer audacity of the demand. Yet Subai calmly holds his ground, as Lin Yukon once again orders her man to shut his mouth. To everyone's shock, she agrees to his terms and even offers friendship, for which he demands yet another payment. She pays instantly, leaving her guild members completely stunned by her decision. Before her subordinate can complain further, she makes a new proposal. Team up to hunt the beginner boss for the first kill. Subai smirks, finally realizing just how desperately they need his power for this crucial raid. He agrees to their alliance, but only on one mysterious condition of his own. Subai reveals his shocking condition. He demands absolute command over Lin Yukon's entire elite team. Her second-in-command explodes in fury, refusing to believe a nobody thinks he can lead the famed Lin family elites. But Subai remains unfazed, making it clear that without his leadership, their raid is doomed to fail. Her subordinate desperately pleads with her, and she tries to negotiate, refusing to hand over complete authority. Without a moment's hesitation, Subai turns his back on the deal, preparing to walk away from the entire alliance. Panicked, Lin Yukon calls out and offers him a fortune of 100 gold coins, but his cold expression shows it's not about the money. He scoffs at her offer, reminding them that the glory of a world-first kill is a prize that money can't buy. As he leaves, Lin Yukon seethes, unable to comprehend how a mere solo player could be so confident in achieving something her entire guild finds impossible. A short while later, Subai has already found a quiet spot by the river, completely unbothered by the powerhouse he just abandoned. With the negotiations failed, he simply decides to use the time to upgrade his own gear, preparing to take on the world alone. Deciding not to wait, Subai dumps his fortune into an instant power-up, successfully boosting all of his core stats. His health pool skyrockets, giving him the confidence he needs to face down the world's first major boss. Meanwhile, back in the starting town, the tavern owner muses over the new season, wondering if her kingdom will finally claim a first-kill record. But the veterans around her can only recall last year's humiliation, where an SSS-ranked rookie from another kingdom stole their glory. Unaware of the chatter, Subai is already blazing a path through monster-infested territory, his eyes locked on the prize. He finally reaches the boss's lair, only to freeze in shock when he realizes someone else has already beaten him here. A faint, unusual scent hangs in the air, instantly putting his regressor knowledge on high alert. He recognizes it as a low-grade concealment powder, a costly item confirming a rich guild is just ahead. Peering inside, he finds the very party he abandoned desperately clearing out minions before the slumbering boss. With a smirk, he realizes the boss hasn't been provoked yet, and leaps into the chaos to seize the opportunity they failed to grasp. As Subai charges forward, the guild members spot the lone newbie and ask if they should stop him. But their leader, the powerful heir Wang Zishi, arrogantly dismisses him as a worthless solo player. His ally, the heiress Li Yuerin, scoffs at the reckless fool who dares to covet what belongs to the major clans. Suddenly, the entire party looks on in utter disbelief, as the newbie fearlessly starts the boss fight himself. Without a shred of hesitation, Subai lands a powerful blow on the slumbering giant, awakening its fury. The Goblin King's eyes snap open with rage as the dagger sinks deep into its shoulder. Unfazed, Subai stands his ground and taunts the colossal beginner zone boss to come at him. The guild members can only stare in shock, wondering if they should try to snatch the kill from this madman. Their leader simply laughs, convinced the boss will crush the worthless player in a few moves. With a deafening roar, the enraged Goblin King swings its massive club, ready to obliterate the punk who dared to challenge its reign. The Goblin King lets out a deafening roar, its eyes burning with absolute fury. But Tsubai is impossibly fast, using a flash step to weave under its arm and slice deep into its side. He follows up with another brutal slash, carving a bloody wound across the monster's back. The boss's earth-shattering slam misses completely as Tsubai taunts its sluggish speed. Exploiting his past life knowledge, he lands a devastating critical strike right on the monster's weakest point. Meanwhile, the guild leaders who dismissed him can only stare in disbelief, refusing to accept what they're seeing. The heiress Li Yuran is stunned, realizing nobody is using an advanced kiting technique that even pro players struggle with. Her guildmates wonder if they should attack now to steal the kill, but their leader urges them to wait. He plans to strike at the perfect moment, like a sparrow hunting a cicada, waiting for the player to fall. But Tsubai shows no signs of falling, promising to chop down the mighty boss like it's nothing more than a vegetable. The Goblin King lets out a furious roar as Tsubai expertly dodges its massive swing. He retaliates with a blindingly fast strike, landing a devastating critical hit right on the beast's kidney. Screaming in agony, the boss monster unleashes an even more terrifying shriek. But its cry isn't one of pain, it's a signal, as a powerful light erupts from its chest. Tsubai's eyes narrow with suspicion, realizing the boss is calling for backup. Elsewhere in the field, other high-level parties are suddenly swarmed by an endless horde of goblins. Panic spreads as the players, who are about to clear the area, are completely caught off guard. Watching from afar, Li Yuran realizes in horror that the boss has summoned an entire goblin guard squad. A guild leader immediately orders his team to switch to an attack formation to break through the encirclement. Across the battlefield, other teams scramble to hold the line, their simple boss hunt now a desperate fight for survival. Li Yuran grows desperate as she realizes the endless goblin horde is the boss's doing, while another guild leader screams for his party to blast a path through the overwhelming numbers. Across the field, players desperately carve their way through the swarm, vowing to reach their comrades. As Wang Zixi loyal men charge forward, determined to get to their leader no matter the cost. But Wang Zixi himself smirks, convinced that Tsubai lacks the power to finish the boss and that the first kill is already his. However, Tsubai sees right through his plan, calmly recognizing the classic last-minute kill-steal attempt. Cornered, Wang Zixi reveals his trump card, a mid-tier magic scroll powerful enough to wipe the field clean. With a manic grin, he unfurls the ancient parchment, ready to obliterate Tsubai and everyone else standing in his way. He unleashes the scroll's forbidden power, channeling a devastating fire blast technique, and the entire battlefield is suddenly consumed by a cataclysmic explosion that shakes the very server. Wang Zix's guild erupts in celebration, convinced their leader's overwhelming power secured them the kill. But as he waits for his victory notification, a system announcement shocks the server. The Goblin King has been slain by player Tsubai. The cheers die instantly as his party stares in utter disbelief, unable to process how their kill was stolen from under their noses. Through the smoke, the horrifying truth is revealed. Tsubai stands alone atop the colossal corpse of the Goblin King as Wang Zixi screams his name in pure rage. His mind shatters, demanding to know how a nobody could possibly one-shot a zone boss. Tsubai calmly explains that it wasn't a one-shot, but a calculated execution exploiting the boss' final sliver of health. He then reveals the depth of his strategy, admitting he intentionally baited Wang Zixi into wasting his priceless magic scroll. With a cold smirk, Tsubai leaves the arrogant noble to contemplate his failure, telling him to enjoy the respawn timer. Meanwhile, news of the incredible feat spreads like wildfire, and every tavern in the Eastern Zone buzzes with players asking the same question: who is Tsubai? The established powers are shaken, realizing the server's first boss kill didn't go to one of the great families, but to a mysterious, unknown player. Players across the server dismiss the news, refusing to believe an unknown orphan could outplay the three great families. Even Lin Yukan, leader of a top guild, stares at the announcement in utter disbelief, thinking this is impossible. But her shock quickly turns to resolve as she commands her forces to move to the next rally point at full speed. Elsewhere, Wang Zixi can only scream Tsubai's name, his face twisted in pure, unadulterated rage. The remaining great family, led by Li Yuran, decides to cut their losses and prepare to raid the next boss in 1 hour. But just as they plan their move, Lin Yukan's guild teleports in, coldly questioning if they had permission to snipe the next boss. Meanwhile, completely unaware of the chaos he's caused, Tsubai claims his reward for the server first kill, 2 silver chests. Inside, he finds experience potions and a pair of rare-grade boots that grant a massive speed boost. After equipping his new gear, he remembers that the kill should have unlocked the tower challenge rankings. But when he checks the leaderboard, He finds his name ranked at a shockingly low 98, a mystery that defies all logic. Subai grimaces, realizing pay-to-win whales have already surpassed him worldwide. Determined to close the gap, he immediately chugs an experience potion to accelerate his grind. With newfound resolve, he approaches the swirling vortex leading to the Tower of God's first floor. He steps onto the massive platform alone, ready to face the unknown challenge head-on. But upon entering, he's shocked to find himself inside the infamous and dreaded Dark Maze. He knows this dungeon is a high-difficulty death trap, impossible for any normal beginner to survive. Yet without a single moment of hesitation, he takes his first confident step into the labyrinth. While others would wander aimlessly, Subai navigates the complex paths with startling precision. He masterfully leaps towards the exit, relying on the perfect memory from his past life. But just as freedom is within his grasp, a demonic claw violently erupts from the floor to block his path. A monstrous ghoul erupts from a demonic seal, lunging straight for him with terrifying speed. But Subai doesn't even flinch, instantly identifying the beast as a common man-eating ghoul. He calmly analyzes its stats, confirming it's just a low-level creature meant to filter out the weak. Knowing their weakness, he grips his dagger, preparing for a single, decisive strike before he can be swarmed. With blinding speed, he dodges its attack and lands a perfect one-shot kill before it can even react. A second ghoul meets the exact same fate, cut down in a flash of light as another critical hit connects. The influx of experience immediately triggers a level up, flooding his body with newfound power. He quickly checks his status, confirming he has now reached level 3 from the easy kills. Suddenly, the very floor of the maze begins to shift and reconfigure, presenting a new challenge. He's faced with a choice between two paths, an easy blue path and a high-risk, high-reward red one. Without hesitation, Subai steps onto the red path, knowing that great risk brings even greater rewards. He walks alone down the long, foreboding corridor, the path illuminating his solitary journey toward the unknown. Meanwhile, at the Chu Dynasty Guild headquarters, a powerful figure receives a report on his favored player's progress. The guildmaster, Zhou Wang, scoffs at this early lead, claiming only the final victory truly matters. His assistant confidently assures him their plans will guarantee his son the title of Rookie King this season. But Zhou Wang suddenly erupts in fury, screaming at their foolish assumptions and short-sightedness. He declares that a true king is forged in blood and battle, not handed a title through family connections. Back in the dungeon, Subai unleashes a storm of blades, one-shotting every monster that dares to approach him. The creatures fall in waves, as massive experience points flood his screen with each effortless kill. In less than half an hour, he's already hit level 3, proving the tower's gains are on another level. After wiping out all the monsters, Subai finally stands alone in the silent room. But suddenly, the floor rumbles as glowing tiles reveal a hidden path unknown to other players. He realizes his constant choice of the hardest difficulty has triggered a secret room with unexpected gains. Descending into the darkness, he braces himself for a new challenge. But the reward for his courage is an ambush by an overwhelming horde of ghouls. The demonic creatures leap at him from all sides, a fight that seems impossible for one man to win. Half an hour later, the one-sided slaughter is over, and Subai is the only one left standing. He stands victorious atop the last monster's corpse, as the system announces he's reached level 4. His flawless performance earns him a perfect S-rank clear and a massive experience bonus. With his stats now perfectly balanced and more powerful than ever, he declares it's finally time to challenge the boss. With the leaderboard still unchanged, Subai activates the teleportation circle, ready to claim the first kill for himself. He strides into the ominous dungeon, confidently declaring that he's about to rewrite the server's history. Before him, the colossal stone gates of the boss room grind open, revealing the darkness within. He steps into a vast, empty hall, a lone challenger walking towards a distant, imposing throne. Seated upon it is the floor's guardian, a monstrous minotaur whose glowing red eyes promise only death. But instead of attacking directly, the beast summons a wave of demonic minions to test the intruder's strength. Unfazed, Subai draws his dagger, completely unimpressed by the opening act and demanding a real fight. He moves like a phantom, effortlessly weaving through the swarm's ferocious but ultimately futile attacks. From his throne, the Minotaur boss watches coldly as its stats reveal overwhelming strength and deadly skills. Yet Subai just smirks, noting the boss's arrogance, ready to shatter its pride and take the kill. Subai charges headfirst into battle, a blur of motion against the monstrous horde. His blade meets the boss's horn with a deafening crash, instantly enraging the colossal beast. In response, the Minotaur unleashes a thunderous shockwave, a raw display of overwhelming power meant to crush the lone challenger. But the boss isn't fighting alone. as demonic gargoyles break free from the stone walls to join the fray. Subai just grins with manic excitement, finally seeing a challenge worthy of his attention. The Minotaur roars and leaps into the air, preparing a devastating trample charge to obliterate everything below. Yet with impossible speed, Subai slips right past the attack, closing the distance in the blink of an eye. He unleashes his own skill, Slipstream, burying his dagger deep into the monster's flesh for a massive critical hit. The gargoyles immediately swarm in to protect their master, diving at Subai from all angles. But his eyes burn with unshakable confidence, knowing that a numbers game like this stands no chance against him. With a single skill, Subai weaves through the chaos, effortlessly dodging the Minotaur and its minions. The enraged boss ignores its fodder, winding up a punch with enough force to shatter the entire room. Subai simply smirks, activating a powerful magic circle to deal with the lesser demons swarming him. The Minotaur lets out a deafening roar as its entire body begins to glow with a furious, fiery aura. It unleashes its ultimate skill, the Heavy Bull Charge, rocketing towards the lone player with unstoppable momentum. Yet Subai stands his ground completely unfazed, calmly remarking on the beast's predictable rage. In the blink of an eye, he teleports directly beside the monster's head, taunting it for not recognizing its true master. He reveals his legendary dagger, promising to carve his identity into the beast's memory. A flash of light follows as he lands a devastating critical hit, cleaving away a massive chunk of the boss's health. But just as he strikes, the surviving gargoyles dive in from his blind spots, hoping to overwhelm him with sheer numbers. Instead of being overwhelmed, Subai effortlessly carves through the gargoyles, farming them for a quick burst of experience. The massacre instantly pushes him to level 5, granting him a crucial power-up in the middle of the boss fight. He immediately activates a skill from his boots, unleashing a vortex of energy that completely immobilizes the raging Minotaur. But the beast is far from finished, letting out a deafening roar that shakes the very foundations of the dungeon. Its body erupts in a crimson aura, triggering its ultimate berserk state far earlier than anyone could have predicted. Subai, however, remains completely unfazed, a dark silhouette surrounded by power as he welcomes the true challenge. In a horrifying twist, the Minotaur's head splits in two, mutating into a grotesque two-headed monstrosity. The creature thrashes around blindly, completely unaware that its target is calmly watching from behind. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the monster's berserk state abruptly ends, leaving it stunned and vulnerable. Seizing the perfect opportunity, Subai appears directly above its head, ready to deliver the final, inescapable blow. With the beast stunned, Subai plunges his glowing dagger deep into its skull in a decisive strike. He calmly mocks the monster for wasting its berserk state, leaving it bleeding and utterly helpless before him. Ripping his blade free, he declares the game is over, having no more time to play with this dumb bull. He then lands a final, devastating critical hit to its chest that obliterates the last of its health. The colossal Minotaur collapses in a heap as system alerts confirm Subai's perfect S-rank clear of the first floor. But the notifications don't stop there, announcing he has also set a new all-time record, becoming the undisputed #1 player this season. Meanwhile, across the dungeon, a rival guild's assault erupts in a massive, fiery explosion. Their leader, Jo Junkai, smugly wields a terrifying perfect-grade weapon, the 10,000 Calamities Annihilation Cannon. With a manic laugh, he prepares to unleash its full power, completely confident that the first clear belongs to him. Suddenly, his face contorts in pure disbelief as a world announcement declares that a player named Subai has already claimed the impossible victory. Jo Junkai explodes with rage, screaming that a sub-hour clear is impossible and Subai must have cheated. His disbelief echoes across the server as crowds of players stare at the rankings, wondering how a rookie could be this powerful. The whispers spread like wildfire, with everyone convinced this unknown monster has already secured the title of Rookie King. Meanwhile, the powerful president of the Chu Dynasty Guild is briefed on his son's failure, as his assistant tries to soften the blow. But he roars that a loss is a loss, dismissing her attempts to calm him by pointing out the 9 floors left to climb. With a cold, calculating fury, he orders a full investigation into the identity of this record-shattering player. At the same time, the cunning leader of the Lin family, Lin Yukan, realizes they've all underestimated this newcomer and begins plotting her next move. But far from the schemes of the powerful guilds, Subai stands before the ultimate prize, a golden treasure chest reserved only for the first conqueror. He opens it, and a blinding light erupts, confirming the drop of a perfect-grade item beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Yet the reward that materializes leaves him speechless, a perfect grade, but utterly bizarre, Golden Hoe. While others would be disappointed, Subai knows the true late-game potential of the Golden Hoe and prepares to absorb a massive experience orb. He crushes it without hesitation, surging with power as he instantly jumps to level 6. With his stats boosted, he immediately begins upgrading his gear, starting with a rare set of boots. He then spends a fortune to instantly complete the enhancement, gaining an incredible boost to all his attributes. Drunk on the feeling of his rapidly increasing power, he decides to push his limits even further. After several more instant upgrades, his stats have skyrocketed, turning him into a true monster for his level. Now fully equipped and overwhelmingly strong, he uses his entry ticket to access the next floor's trial. Stepping into the swirling purple vortex, he sets an impossible goal: clear the first 10 floors within just 24 hours. He materializes in the vast and scorching Naka Desert as a 1-minute countdown to the trial begins. But upon learning the rule is to survive 10 slow monster waves, he scoffs, already plotting a way to force them all to spawn faster. The moment the trial begins, a demonic creature erupts from the sand behind him, but the system reveals it's just a pathetic level 5 sawtooth lizard. Suddenly, an entire horde surrounds him, yet Tsubai is only annoyed at how much time they're wasting. Deciding he's waited long enough, he blitzes forward with his legendary dagger drawn. He carves through the monsters in a blur of motion, every single strike a one-shot critical hit. A wave that should take 10 minutes is cleared in under 2 seconds, but even the next countdown is too slow for his ambitions. Realizing this pace is still not enough, he decides to unleash his elemental abilities to force the issue. A storm of energy obliterates wave after wave, shattering every single record in the blink of an eye. His reward is instant teleportation to the second floor's boss room, where a towering werewolf monster awaits. But without a shred of fear, he charges forward, unleashing a deadly steel slash to end the fight before it can even begin. With the werewolf boss defeated, Tsubai shatters yet another record, becoming the first player to clear the second floor and earning a mountain of rewards. His prize is a golden treasure chest containing a perfect-grade piece of armor, a legendary item most players would never even dream of seeing. But for a regressor like him, even perfect-grade gear isn't enough, and he immediately begins upgrading it without a moment's hesitation. The upgrade succeeds, but the cost is so astronomical that even Tsubai is shocked by how much gold it consumed. Still, the power boost is undeniable, and he can feel the immense energy radiating from the newly equipped legendary item. He then casually crushes an EXP orb, instantly gaining 50,000 experience points and leveling up to 7 inches a flash. Reviewing his new, monstrously high stats and god-tier equipment, he confidently declares himself ready for the next challenge. With all preparations complete, he steps toward the portal for the 3rd floor, lamenting the massive fortune he just spent to achieve this power. He emerges into the menacing darkness of the 3rd floor's silken cavern, a place he seems to know all too well. And from the shadows, a horde of monstrous creatures with glowing red eyes immediately swarms him, ready to tear him apart. With a crazed grin, Tsubai eagerly leaps into the horde of monsters. Meanwhile, another top player, Jo Junkai, unleashes his ultimate weapon against the 1st floor boss. The overwhelming firepower completely annihilates the Minotaur, securing what he believes is a monumental victory. After a grueling 2.5-hour battle, he finally stands triumphant over the colossal corpse. His reward for this hard-fought clear is a rare-grade exquisite longsword. Holding his prize high, he arrogantly declares himself the undisputed champion of the server. But his celebration is shattered by a world announcement that Tsubai has already cleared the Second floor in under 30 minutes. Utterly defeated, he collapses to his knees, questioning how such an impossible power gap could even exist. At that very moment, Tsubai is already carving through the 3rd floor's boss, setting yet another insane record. And before anyone can even process his last achievement, he's already conquered the 4th floor, leaving the entire world in his shadow. And just like that, another world announcement drops as Tsubai obliterates the 5th floor in under 20 minutes. Down in the city, the player base erupts in chaos, unable to comprehend how he's only getting faster with each floor. Some try to rationalize his impossible speed, comparing him to the guildmaster's son who needed a legendary cannon for the 1st floor. But meanwhile, in a secret strategy room, the server's most powerful players have gathered to discuss this new anomaly. A top-ranking warrior named Pei Lingshui finds this mysterious player incredibly interesting. Her companion reveals their shocking discovery. Tsubai has no family, no backing, and was a complete nobody before entering the tower. Their only conclusion is that he must have found an epic-grade weapon, a treasure so rare only 10 exist in the entire kingdom. Immediately, greed takes over, as one of the kingdom's top assassins is accused of already plotting to steal the boy's gear. The argument is cut short as a powerful fist slams the table, demanding that the infighting stop. Finally, their captain issues a decisive command. They will intercept Tsubai and make an offer for his weapon the moment he emerges. The group debates how to handle this new anomaly, with one member suggesting a simple trial for the mysterious player. But the captain furiously shuts him down, declaring that if Subai can take the Rookie King title, he's worth their full investment. With his decision made, the argument is finally settled as the captain turns to leave. Pei Ling Shui then coldly reminds the scheming assassin to worry about his own rank before targeting others. Meanwhile, completely unaware of the powerful forces gathering against him, Subai steps through a shimmering portal to the next floor. He immediately checks his stats, realizing that while his power growth is insane, the cost of upgrading his gear is bleeding him dry. Staring at his meager 300 gold, he knows it's nowhere near enough to fund his climb. He desperately calculates his potential earnings, but even clearing the 10th floor and winning the title won't solve his money problem. The crushing financial pressure finally gets to him, and the strongest player in the tower has a total meltdown over being broke. But in his moment of despair, a sudden memory sparks an idea, a recollection of someone who might be the key to everything. He immediately receives a message from the powerful Lin Yukon, offering him an insane contract and 100,000 as an apology. But Subai sees a bigger opportunity, countering not with a request for a job, but with a business offer of his own. Shocked by the ridiculously low price for such rare items, Lin Yukon instantly agrees to buy his entire stock. With his financial crisis solved in an instant, Subai can't help but smirk at the sheer power of the wealthy. The deal is finalized with the press of a button, and his mind immediately shifts back to the only thing that matters: grinding. Wasting no time, he charges headfirst into the portal for the 6th floor, ready for the next challenge. He arrives in the Wild Oasis, a treacherous new zone filled with dangerous flying beasts. Knowing the boss here is a roaming type, he equips a powerful crossbow he prepared, only to realize he forgot one crucial detail: arrows. Forced to conserve what little ammo he has, he cautiously ventures deeper into the misty woods. Suddenly, his senses flare as he detects an unseen presence lurking nearby. The lurking presence reveals itself as a pack of shadow panthers, but instead of fear, Subai greets the ambush with a confident smirk. He eagerly unleashes a devastating volley from his new crossbow, ready to test its true power on these unfortunate beasts. The sheer force of the bolt sends the ferocious attackers flying through the air, completely overwhelming their assault. With deadly precision, he spins and fires again, turning the hopeless ambush into a one-sided slaughter. In mere moments, the battle is over, and he stands amidst the fallen creatures, barely impressed by his own overwhelming strength. While collecting his precious reusable arrows, his mind is already on his next business deal, planning to sell the monster corpses to Lin Yukon. Using knowledge from his past life, he tracks the floor's elusive roaming boss to a riverbank in the north. The distinct sound of rushing water confirms his theory, and a grin spreads across his face as he knows his prey is near. He dashes through the shallows without hesitation, closing in on the location with absolute certainty. But instead of the boss, he's met with a patrol of powerful, trident-wielding river monsters guarding their territory. The system reveals the guards are high-level amphibious fishmen, but this only confirms he's in the right place. Without a moment's hesitation, he declares it's time to work and unleashes a devastating volley from his crossbow. The powerful monsters are instantly torn apart, their ambush turning into a completely one-sided slaughter. His swift victory immediately yields a rare prize, a coveted B, rank job, transfer crystal. A confident grin spreads across his face, as his past life knowledge meant he knew this high-value item would drop here. But instead of using it, he immediately contacts Lin Yukon, ready to turn his rare find into a massive profit. She makes a staggering offer of 10 million, which he instantly leverages for even more before sealing the deal. With the transaction complete, he returns to his hunt, farming the remaining monsters with terrifying efficiency. Suddenly, a strange purple streak cuts across the sky, forcing him to a dead stop. A look of pure excitement replaces his confusion as he realizes the sound belongs to his true target. The roaming boss has finally appeared. The creature that emerges is a hulking oasis fish demon, an elite boss whose stats dwarf any normal players, but Subai doesn't show a hint of fear, instead smirking at the monster's exotic appearance. He casually raises his crossbow, declaring it's time to play with this so-called boss. As the demon lunges with its massive trident, Subai unleashes a volley of bolts with perfect timing, and then uses Flash Step to effortlessly evade the monster's gaping maw, moving like a phantom on the water. In a blink, he's airborne and peppering its weak spot with a barrage of devastating critical hits. Enraged and desperate, the fish demon hurls its only weapon in a last-ditch effort, yet Subai gracefully leaps over the projectile, turning the monster's attack into his own personal platform. Landing before the now defenseless beast, he scoffs at its predictable tactics before aiming for the kill shot. The final volley strikes true, burying itself deep in the monster's skull and shredding its remaining health in an instant. Subai stands victorious over the defeated boss, as the system showers him with notifications for clearing the 6th floor and being the first player this season to do so. He checks his record-breaking clear time, almost 2 hours, scoffing that it took him a bit long but acknowledging the 5 extra chests are a decent reward. Opening his loot, he's showered with potions and gold, but most importantly, a piece of fine-grade gear known as the Fish Demon Bracers. Initially unimpressed with the item's base stats, he immediately decides to upgrade them, consuming his silver to unlock their true potential. With the bracers now glowing brightly at +8, he smirks with satisfaction, deeming their new attributes finally worthy of his use. Fully equipped, he turns towards the swirling purple vortex, ready to conquer the 7th floor without a moment's hesitation. A fire burns in his eyes as he declares his ultimate goal: to clear the first 10 floors in 20 hours and seize the title of Rookie King for himself. But just as he's about to move, a stunning server-wide announcement flashes before him, revealing that the first S-Class player has already emerged. Meanwhile, players in a crowded tavern gossip about this new prodigy, Lin Mengxuan, who is rumored to be the fiancé of the server's #1 ranked player. Another group debates her chances against Subai, pointing out he's already on the 7th floor while she's on the 3rd, though they admit her power will skyrocket once she hits level 10. The tavern gossip turns to the other major guilds, with players noting how the top dogs are already arming their heirs for the brutal competition. Elsewhere, one of those very heirs, Zhou Junkai, is stunned to see he's been knocked down to 3rd place on the server-wide leaderboard. Furious at being surpassed, he dives into a portal, vowing to show everyone his true power once he reaches the 5th floor. But while his rivals are still far behind, Subai has already stepped into the ominous dark castle of the treacherous 7th floor. He's immediately confronted by a colossal skeletal knight, a terrifying boss that dwarfs him in both size and raw power. Yet Subai, drawing on his past life knowledge, effortlessly lands a devastating critical strike on the monster's hidden weak point. Meanwhile, on the 4th floor, the new S-Class prodigy Lin Mengxuan carves her way through hordes of desert monsters with grim determination. Unleashing a powerful sweeping attack with her massive blade, she declares her own unyielding ambition to be #1. Back on the 5th floor, Zhou Junkai finally defeats a boss and discovers a legendary item, a fragment of the Fate Stone. This fragment instantly transforms into an SS rank class crystal, granting him an insane power-up and a shocking new path to victory. While his rivals are floors behind, Subai enters the 8th floor's abyss of pain, immediately rushing 2 skeletal guards. He becomes a blur of motion, landing a flurry of critical hits in a completely one-sided fight. With a confident smirk, he notes that only 2 floors remain to cement his victory. Meanwhile, his competitors Zhou Junkai and Lin Mengxuan are still struggling on the 6th and 7th floors, vowing to catch up to his impossible pace. Having already left them in the dust, Subai enters the grotesque 9th floor's nightmare town, carving through a horde of zombies, and without a moment's rest, he finally reaches the 10th floor, where a colossal winged demon awaits him on the nightmare platform. The final boss, Nightmare Hermers, looms over him, but Subai's only thought is claiming the Rookie King title. As the demon unleashes orbs of dark energy, Subai declares he has no time to play games. The boss unleashes a massive sweeping attack, meant to obliterate him instantly, but Subai effortlessly dodges through the assault, leaping forward to slice the monster's guts directly. The wounded demon roars in fury, unleashing a final wave of dark energy, but Subai effortlessly kicks it back, mocking its useless final attempt at defiance. With one final, decisive strike, he obliterates the unbeatable boss as the system erupts with announcements of his record-shattering victory. He secures not only an SSS rank crystal but also the Rookie King title, a prize he never obtained even after clearing 999 floors in his past life. With his main goal complete, Subai turns his attention to the 5 treasure chests he has been saving up. The first chest reveals a rare sword, but its mediocre stats are completely useless to him now. He continues opening them, finding a useful treasure map and a light stone to hide his gear from prying eyes. Suddenly, he pulls a pair of perfect-grade Fire Dragon gauntlets with stats bordering on the epic tier. As he equips them, an overwhelmingly flashy aura explodes from his body, showcasing their immense power. His new status screen confirms the terrifying leap in power, displaying a list of gear no other player could even dream of possessing. Subai smirks, knowing that with his new stats, his punches are now absolutely lethal. He then turns his attention to the 30 remaining silver chests, opening them all in a massive loot spree. But as he sifts through the items, a world-shattering announcement echoes across the server, revealing his identity and unprecedented SSS rank reward. The entire player base erupts as people fall to their knees in celebration, hailing the birth of a new hero for their kingdom. Meanwhile, inside a secret meeting hall, the server's most elite players watch replays of his impossible feats in stunned silence. Their furious captain, Su Kang, demands every last detail on this mysterious player, ordering his immediate recruitment at all costs. His top strategist, Pei Ling Shou, immediately questions what kind of conditions they could possibly offer such a monster. Su Kang declares they will go all out, offering him a spot on their most exclusive frontline team, a decision that shocks everyone. He scoffs at the idea of putting an SSS-ranked talent in the second-rate teams, vowing to spend any amount of money to secure him. With unwavering resolve, the captain makes it clear that a super genius like this is a weapon they absolutely cannot afford to miss out on. His team members buzz with excitement, realizing that recruiting an SSS-rank player will elevate their status to unimaginable heights. The fierce strategist Pei Lingshu confidently accepts the mission, eager to put the other arrogant squads in their place. Meanwhile, back in the newbie tavern, players gossip about the legendary Subai, baffled by how he achieved his records without even choosing a class. Suddenly, the doors are kicked open with a thunderous crash, enraging the patrons who demand to know who dares to be so reckless. A lone figure steps through the doorway, a heavy sack slung over his shoulder, and a confident smirk hiding in the shadows. The crowd gasps, whispering that he must be crazy to challenge the tavern's deadly owner, a woman who executes anyone who disrespects her. But instead of rage, the fearsome boss lady greets him with surprising familiarity, acknowledging his quick work. He confidently orders a falling star, a drink from her secret recipe that instantly catches her completely off guard. Onlookers are completely. Finally, he presents his haul, and the owner grins, impressed by the treasure he managed to sniff out with his unique senses. The tavern owner scoffs, telling Subai that sweet talk won't get him a discount on her priceless brew. He downs the legendary stat-boosting drink in a single gulp, earning a disgusted look from the owner who can't believe he wasted such a treasure. Exhausted from his grind, Subai asks for a private room to rest, but his plans are about to be interrupted. Suddenly, the tavern doors burst open, and a powerful silhouette appears, immediately identified by the crowd as the infamous Lin Yukon. The powerful guild leader steps forward with her entourage, an intimidating presence that silences the entire room. She walks directly to Subai, acknowledging his presence before he casually gestures to his sack, telling her to inspect the merchandise. Her composure completely shatters as she looks at the bag, her mind reeling at the sheer quantity of treasure he's brought. Inside a private room, he dumps out the contents of what's revealed to be a bottomless pouch, a mountain of rare crystals spilling onto the floor. The entire room is bathed in the radiant glow of the loot, leaving Lin Yukon and her elite guards utterly speechless. Hess collected not just a few, but a king's ransom of class-change crystals, from F rank all the way to the impossibly rare B rank. But as if the mountain of treasure wasn't enough, Subai casually reveals he has an S-rank crystal, leaving her guards utterly stunned. He presents the legendary item directly to Lin Yukon, coolly telling her to name her price for this game-changing artifact. A system scan confirms its shocking authenticity, an S-rank crystal for the incredibly rare Magic Scholar class. Her mind reels as she holds an item that could redefine the power balance of the entire server. With a fire in her eyes, she declares she must have it. But Subai calmly lays out his terms for the rest of his loot. She smirks, agreeing without hesitation, stating that for someone of her status, acquiring supplies is a trivial matter. He then hands over his own list of demands, which she immediately passes to her subordinate to fulfill. Finally, with the business handled, Subai collapses onto the couch, the exhaustion of his legendary grind catching up to him. But there's no time to rest, as Lin Yukon reminds him they still need to settle the price for the S-rank crystal. She then makes a staggering offer that shatters all expectations, a jaw-dropping 200 million in cash. Subai is left speechless by the astronomical offer, his mind reeling at the thought of 200 million in pure cash. But Lin Yukon calmly explains that for an S-rank crystal this price is actually low, even offering a residence in the legendary Lingfeng city to sweeten the deal. She asserts her power, reminding him that this is a world beyond the reach of ordinary players, a place only the elite can access. Hearing this, Subai realizes the true, world-altering value of the item he holds in his hands. With his decision made, he stands and accepts the deal, but on his own terms, payment in 7 days. Lin Yukon agrees without a moment's hesitation, producing a contract to seal their monumental agreement on the spot. As Subai puts pen to paper, the weight of this life-changing transaction hangs heavy in the air. The system confirms the deal is done, and with a firm handshake, a new alliance between two powerhouses is forged. However, with the crystal now in her possession, Lin Yukon lingers, a new proposition brewing behind her eyes. She then reveals her true objective. Knowing he possesses an even rarer SSS rank crystal, she extends an invitation to join her powerful guild. Subai casually dismisses her world-changing offer, claiming he has no plans to change his class just yet. But Lin Yukon is stunned, questioning why he'd risk holding onto such a powerful item when anyone could try to steal it. Unfazed, Subai simply waves her off, stating he has his own plans before turning to leave and get some rest. As he walks away, onlookers are in disbelief, unable to fathom how the legendary player who cleared the 10th floor could be wearing simple starter gear. The whispers follow him through the tavern as the entire room struggles to reconcile the image of this plainly dressed boy with the server's most dominant player. Meanwhile, the tavern owner fumes in the background, vowing to settle the score with the man who ruined her business. Later that night, a shadowy figure silently enters Subai's room while he sleeps, its silhouette cast ominously across the floor. The intruder is revealed to be the furious tavern owner, who has tracked him down to his private quarters. With a swift kick, she gives the sleeping hero a rude awakening, clearly not here to talk. Subai jolts awake, completely confused as he groggily asks how she even managed to get into his room. The furious tavern lady corners Subai, threatening him for ruining her business and demanding he fix the mess downstairs. But Subai, completely unfazed, calmly presents a stack of gold coins with a smirk. He casually tosses the payment at her, asking if this is enough to handle the trouble. Her anger instantly melts into pure greed as she gleefully accepts, declaring that problem-solving is her specialty. With the money settled, she gives him one simple rule: no killing, to which he calmly agrees. With her attention secured, Subai reveals he has a far more lucrative business opportunity for her. Intrigued, she leans in, assuming he has another priceless liquor formula to sell, and asks just how rare it is this time. But what he reveals isn't a formula, but a blindingly powerful SSS-grade job change crystal, leaving her completely speechless. Clenching the legendary item, Subai declares his true, world-shaking goal: to open the divine trial. The tavern lady's shock turns to sharp suspicion, as she questions how a mere rookie could possibly know about such a forbidden event. Subai dismisses her suspicion, revealing that thanks to his past life, he knows this crystal is the only key to a trial that grants a unique hidden class. She warns him that this is a one-way trip, and the priceless crystal will be consumed the moment he enters. But his resolve is absolute, remembering the 100 failures he endured in his past life that he refuses to repeat. Seeing his unwavering determination, she silently agrees to arrange the forbidden trial. She gives him one last chance to back out of this suicide mission, but he simply scoffs, saying he has no intention of dying. With his decision made, she clenches her fist and shatters the legendary SSS-grade crystal into shimmering dust. As the system announces the trial's beginning, a massive magical circle erupts on the floor, activating the portal to the ultimate challenge. She seems genuinely worried for a second, but he just snaps at her to stop nagging. Enraged by his disrespect, she unleashes a powerful electric kick, launching him directly into the portal herself. As he's violently flung through the swirling vortex, he can only scream in shock at her, using that same move on him again. Back in the tavern, the elf lady is left stunned, wondering what he meant by again and why he feels so strangely familiar. Meanwhile, Subai crashes into a desolate, fiery realm, a hellscape filled with smoldering mountains and ominous flames. But he quickly picks himself up, a grim smile on his face as he recognizes this place, the divine trial he's returned to conquer. A system window confirms his fears. All his equipment, inventory, and buffs have been temporarily stripped away. Stripped of his power, he begins his trek through the desolate landscape, littered with the bones of past challengers. He notes the remains of past heroes who failed this very trial, knowing that their power is exactly what he's here for. He then pulls up his status window to assess the damage from being completely reset. His stats are nerfed to a base level, and his gear is nothing but newbie rags. But he notices one item wasn't sealed by the system. With a grim look, he pulls out the one legendary tool that slipped past the trial's restrictions. Just then, a countdown begins for an incoming demon wave, but with his one advantage, he simply smirks and says, "Bring it on." Subai finds himself on a tiny platform surrounded by lava, as portals begin to rip open all around him. But as a swarm of terrifying dungeon demons emerges, he stands his ground completely unfazed. Realizing he can't wait for them to multiply, he explodes forward with immense speed to strike first. His initial strike lands, but a system window reveals it barely scratched the creature, dealing only 500 damage. Annoyed by his nerfed power, he unleashes a true skill, a crimson slash that instantly one-shots the elite monster. The system confirms his first kill, awarding him a single point for his overwhelming display of power, but Subai simply scoffs at the reward, finding the trial's scoring system incredibly stingy for his efforts. Without wasting another moment, he launches himself forward again, a blur of motion across the battlefield. He then unleashes another name technique, a blinding web of golden light that traps and shreds his next target. With a calm and confident expression, he watches as his attack effortlessly tears the demon to pieces. He unleashes a golden steel slash, instantly one-shotting another demon and gaining more points for the trial. Surrounded by the corpses of his enemies, the system confirms this technique is one of many that can amplify his power 100-fold. With a confident smirk, he acknowledges that without his past life's knowledge, this test would be impossible. But before he can rest, a new horde of chittering spider demons swarms towards him from the darkness. Taking a steadying breath, he prepares himself for the next overwhelming wave of monsters. With a furious battle cry, he erupts in a storm of fire and steel, vowing to kill every last one of them. Meanwhile, back in the real world, the forums explode with news of his SSS rank crystal, sending players scrambling to find him at the local tavern. The adventurers there refuse to believe the rumor that his priceless crystal has already been used. But the tavern lady confirms it with a menacing glare, boasting that she crushed the legendary item with her own hands. And the news of his actions spread even further, reaching the highest echelons of power as the strategy group convenes an emergency meeting. The captain of the strategy group, Su Kang, erupts with rage after learning Subai's SSS-class crystal was destroyed by an NPC. His subordinates are horrified, realizing the news must be true and that this is a national disaster. At the same time, the global player base mocks the Yan Kingdom for fumbling such a god-tier opportunity. Overcome with fury, Su Kang slams his fist down, unable to believe the rookie lost something so important. But the team's top assassin scoffs, claiming this just proves Subai was never qualified for their elite frontline team. He then taunts his colleague Pei Lingshou about her interest in the boy, earning a furious glare in return. Their captain silences the argument, coldly reminding them that no matter the reason, they just lost an SSS-class rookie. He then issues a chilling order: guard the tower and capture Subai the moment he leaves the newbie zone. When questioned, Su Kang reveals his true plan, explaining that Subai's record-setting techniques are the real prize. Though his subordinate praises his brilliance, the stone-faced captain simply tells them all to scram. The nation's top players debate whether to torture or bribe Subai for his secrets, though one of them scoffs at such barbaric methods. But their captain shuts them down, declaring that his game-breaking techniques must be acquired for the future of the Yan Kingdom, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, completely unaware of their sinister plot, Subai is deep within the divine trial, effortlessly one-shotting waves of spider demons. After 10 grueling hours, he finally clears the first stage, standing exhausted over a field of monster corpses. Yet his true challenge has just begun, as he faces 9 more stages, with a goal of 1 million kills to achieve the legendary SSS rating. With only 11,000 kills down, the system announces the second stage is starting as a countdown for the next demonic swarm begins. Knowing the newbie protection period is almost over, he instantly restores his energy to continue the relentless grind. Suddenly, a new swarm of poisonous stingers fills the air, a deadly threat that drains health over time. But for him, this is the perfect challenge. He then makes a shocking move, switching not to a legendary blade, but to a basic iron whip to counter the incoming horde. With a single crack of his whip, he obliterates 20 stinger demons in a critical one-hit kill. He then unleashes a devastating sweep, confirming the weapon's perfect efficiency against their pitiful defense. 12 grueling hours later, his kill count skyrockets to an unbelievable 250,000. Standing exhausted over a mountain of corpses, he finally confirms the entire swarm has been wiped out. But with no time to rest, he immediately switches his weapon from the whip to a glowing golden spear. He calmly ascends to the next level, leaving behind the remnants of his 250,000 demon massacre. The system announces the start of Stage 3, instantly refreshing all his stats for the approaching wave. Anticipating ranged attackers, he wisely switches again, equipping a short bow to counter the incoming warlock imps. And just as predicted, a horde of flying, magic-casting goblins swarms towards him from the darkness. Subai stands ready as the swarm of winged goblins descends upon him from the sky. He unleashes a blindingly fast volley of arrows, each one finding its mark with deadly precision. With a smirk, he proves his speed is unmatched as the system confirms 5 critical one-hit kills. From his perch high above, he easily stays out of reach of the clawing monsters below. But knowing this isn't enough, he pushes his limits further by charging multiple elemental arrows at once. Meanwhile, another top-tier player, the fierce Lin Mingxuan, challenges the monstrous final boss of the 10th floor. In a stunning display of power, she clears the nightmare difficulty stage, setting an incredible record for all to see. Yet this stunning feat only earns her second place, and now she burns to meet the mysterious man who beat her time. Back in the city, a news broadcast shocks the public, revealing the unprecedented number of S and even SS rank rookies emerging this season. Players across the city discuss the season's top rookies, wondering where the mysterious Subai has vanished. Meanwhile, the powerful Lin Yukon ignores invitations from other top players, her focus clearly elsewhere. Her aide questions why she'd risk her family standing for some random player she's never even met. But she coldly dismisses his concerns, cryptically stating that he wouldn't understand her grand plans. She then checks her friends list where Subai's status has read abnormal for 6 long days. Unbeknownst to them all, Subai is deep within the Forbidden Gods trial, facing its 7th deadly stage. He unleashes a volley of ice arrows against a wave of heavily armored stone guardians. His power is so immense that each shot is a critical one-hit kill, shattering them instantly. He stands alone amidst the frozen remains, knowing his power makes any defense completely worthless. Knowing it's already been 6 days, Subai pushes himself to speed up through the final stages of the trial. The system immediately throws him into Stage 8 against a swarm of toxic insects, but his only concern is finishing before the newbie period ends. He scoffs at their attempt to swarm him, unleashing a single devastating slash that scores 29 critical one-hit kills. 6 hours of brutal combat later, he faces a powerful winged demon, effortlessly dodging its attacks and mocking its pathetic speed. With a furious battle cry, he unleashes another unstoppable flurry of strikes, racking up dozens more critical kills in a one-sided slaughter. His relentless assault finally pushes his score to an insane 1 million points, just as the system warns all rookies the test ends in 24 hours. He clenches his fist in triumph, realizing only one last boss stands between him and an exclusive achievement. Standing before a pulsating orb of pure demonic energy, Subai fearlessly calls out for the trial's final guardian. In response, a terrifying ancient demon god is summoned from the abyss, an ultimate boss with power far beyond anything seen before. A confident smirk crosses Subai's face as he finally confronts the legendary final boss he's been waiting for. The ancient demon god roars with world-ending fury, bringing down its flaming fists to annihilate the human before it. A cataclysmic explosion of divine fire erupts from the ground, forcing Subai to leap for his life. He lands perfectly, dodging the shockwave and calmly acknowledging the demon's stubborn power. But a grim realization hits him as he calculates that his current defense is too low to even scratch the beast. Switching tactics instantly, he activates flash steps to create distance, waiting patiently for the perfect opening. The battlefield becomes a blur as he begins a deadly cat-and-mouse game he perfected dozens of times in his past life. Suddenly, he fires a hook chain to anchor himself, realizing this version of the fight is far more intense than he ever remembered. As the demon unleashes a horde of flaming skeletons, Subai has already tricked the monster into obliterating its own minions with a misplaced attack. Subai masterfully dodges a ground-shattering attack, taunting the fiery beast from above, but the enraged monster roars in agony from a fresh wound as Subai charges forward to avenge the fallen. With a flash of his true power, he unleashes a devastating sword strike that slices deep into the demon's form. Seizing the perfect moment, he grins with absolute confidence and rushes in to execute the next phase of his plan. Suddenly, he leaps high into the air, swapping his sword for a bow and taking aim at the godlike creature below. His arrows find their mark, but the demon retaliates by summoning a meteor shower of massive rocks. But the arrows were just a feint, forcing the beast to block and revealing a critical weakness in its hand. With its defenses finally broken, he prepares a final, crackling arrow, knowing that even a god can be slain. The demon can only scream in helpless fury, as Subai's flawless strategy corners it for the final blow. The demon easily deflects the volley of arrows, its body glowing with raw power. Gathering immense heat in its palm, it prepares to unleash a devastating counterattack. With a furious roar, it launches a wave of explosive fireballs, shattering the very ground around it. But suddenly Subai appears right before the beast, sword drawn, declaring this is the end. He blitzes past the monster in a blinding flash, his twin blades carving through its form. The godlike creature can only scream as its entire body begins to disintegrate into feathers of light. Landing gracefully, Subai watches as the glowing energy from his final attack fades away. A system notification confirms his victory, announcing he has passed the impossible divine test and unlocked a hidden class. He erupts in laughter, realizing his past life knowledge has granted him a superclass title beyond even SSS rank. But before claiming his reward, he decides to test a legendary item, summoning a mysterious golden tool with a brilliant flash. He throws the fabled golden hoe, praying its duplication power is as legendary as the stories claim, but the tool simply vanishes into thin air, leaving him in stunned silence. Subai reels in shock, his game-breaking plan seemingly dissolving into absolutely nothing. Suddenly, a system notification flashes with an impossibly high score that makes no sense whatsoever. He erupts in manic laughter as pillars of fire surround him, finally understanding the legend was true. Two opposing energies then manifest before him, the divine golden power of a hero and the corrupting purple essence of a demon. With no choice, he braces himself as both forbidden powers surge directly into his soul. The crystals collide and shatter, a system alert confirming the unthinkable. He has obtained the dual professions of hero and demon king. His very being is torn apart as his face twists in agony, one half becoming monstrously demonic. Enduring the torturous transformation, he now stands before a swirling vortex of unimaginable power. His stats have exploded, revealing a god-tier class with infinite mana that lets him steamroll through anything. Standing over the bones of fallen heroes, he promises to carry on their forgotten will, but with a crazed smile, he declares this time he'll cut down two gods at once. Meanwhile, the powerful Lin Yukan is stunned to see Subai's name finally reappear online after his long disappearance. At that exact moment, a violent tremor shakes a tavern, as the patrons below wonder if it's an earthquake. The tavern owner bursts through the door, demanding to know who's causing the commotion, only to find Subai lounging casually, confirming he actually survived the impossible trial. But her shock turns to disbelief as he reveals the forbidden truth. He now holds the power of both hero and demon king. With his transformation complete, Subai decides to leave, casually inviting the legendary tavern keeper to join him. As he walks away, she tosses him a reward for clearing a trial that no one in history ever has. He examines the perfect grade stealth badge, a crucial tool that can hide his new and dangerous identity. The tavern lady warns him that parading his new power around will only attract enemies who hunt the Demon King. But Subai just laughs it off, teasing that her concern proves she still loves him. Annoyed and flustered, she kicks him out of the tavern, telling the brat to get lost. He soon arrives in Rim City, the first major hub for players advancing in the tower. With a familiar feeling and a confident smirk, Subai announces his grand return to the world. Suddenly, he's approached by a powerful guild leader, surprised she managed to find him so fast. Lin Yukan eagerly explains they've been waiting for days, desperate to know where he vanished to. He's then escorted to the opulent private club of the Lin family, a sign of their immense power and influence. Inside, she presents him with a staggering fortune of 17,000 gold coins as payment for their deal. After the deal is done, Lin Yukan clears her throat, signaling the start of a serious interrogation. She then cuts straight to the point, asking about his current job rating, a question that immediately puts Subai on guard. She reveals that nasty rumors are already spreading online about him losing his priceless job crystal, shocking Subai that the information leaked so fast. When she explains the innkeeper crushed it, Subai's calm confirmation that the rumor is true leaves her completely bewildered. Her mind races to the only possible conclusion. To be this nonchalant, he must possess another SSS rank crystal. But Subai completely shatters her reality by casually asking if losing one SSS crystal is really such a big deal. Tired of the mind games, he demands she reveal her true intentions, which is to recruit him into her powerful guild. He understands her logic, knowing the difficulty of the tower skyrockets after the beginner zone, making guilds almost essential for survival. However, he flatly rejects joining, instead offering to help clear floors but only with a hyper-specific team built for setting records. Lin Yukan is left utterly speechless, stunned by his insane claim to speedrun floors with a tiny team when it normally takes 20 players just to survive. Subai sits like a king, casually dismissing the value of record-breaking rewards as utterly insignificant to him. A flustered Lin Yukan immediately agrees to his insane terms, eagerly asking when their record-setting assault can begin. But he coolly waves her off, stating he has personal business to handle and they'll start tomorrow. The moment he's gone, her own subordinate whispers poison, questioning how a fraud without an SSS crystal could ever set a record. Lin Yukan coldly shuts him down, flashing back to the overwhelming power Subai possessed, a power that could have annihilated them all back in the beginner zone. Fully committing to his plan, she commands her aide to assemble a team of 4 B-rank mages, declaring she will personally take the final slot. However, her subordinate's face twists into a mask of pure malice, secretly vowing that Subai's attempt to set a record will only lead to his death. Meanwhile, Subai arrives at the imposing city lord's mansion, only to be immediately challenged by a random player who thinks he has a death wish. This stranger warns him that barging into the heavily fortified mansion is suicide, as the guards will skewer any trespassers without hesitation. Subai just smirks, revealing that there's a secret way inside, but it's a path that only opens for those with overwhelming strength. Instead of being attacked, the guard respectfully welcomes Subai, calling him hero and leading him inside to the training yard. The onlookers are left completely stunned, unable to believe he just walked right into the heavily guarded fortress. He is then escorted through the grounds by a squad of elite guards, heading towards the heart of the mansion. Suddenly, the deafening sound of a powerful clash echoes through the courtyard. Subai turns to see two immensely powerful figures locked in a high-level sparring match. The combatants are revealed to be the level 180 guard captain and the legendary level 200 city lord himself. He immediately realizes he stumbled upon a rare in-game event, a perfect chance to acquire the powerful skills he desperately needs. As he watches the city lord's movements, his system detects a C-rank sword technique, the personal skill of a level 200 master. Moments later, he intercepts the guard captain's D-rank earth spell, adding it to his arsenal without a second thought. A flood of notifications bombards his screen as he absorbs every technique from the duel, confirming them all with a triumphant grin. 10 minutes later, the intense sparring match concludes, and Subai finally stands before the legendary city lord. The guards announce his arrival, but the level 200 city lord is completely shocked to hear he is the prophesied hero. Regaining his composure, the powerful lord demands proof, asking to see Subai's identification to verify this unbelievable claim. Subai casually presents his system window, revealing the undeniable hero title and shocking everyone present. In an instant, the city lord and his entire retinue kneel in absolute reverence before him. The lord reveals a shocking piece of lore. A hero only appears once every 100 years, a detail Subai remembers from his past life. He continues to explain the grand prophecy of the hero, leading them to the dawn's first light, but Subai remains completely unfazed. Cutting through the epic tale, Subai dismisses the legend and simply asks for a quest, confusing the lord who realizes this hero is only level 10. The city lord then offers an insulting quest to find his lost dog, a task so demeaning Subai's expression instantly darkens. Realizing the grave insult, the guard captain quickly offers proper quests with valuable skill books, trying to appease the now furious hero. The guard captain showers Subai with a series of high-reward quests, finally showing the respect a hero deserves. But just as he accepts, the city lord interrupts with a sudden realization, claiming he has a far more suitable task for him. He offers the main story quest for the entire city, a mission no one has even attempted in 10 seasons of the game. Suddenly, a second, even more shocking quest appears, offering an unprecedented 50 skill points as a reward. The lord explains that all heroes are legendary battle masters, and he wishes to test this ancient lore for himself. With a determined gaze, he formally requests that the level 10 hero give him, a level 2 to 100 city lord, a lesson in combat. It's a challenge quest, and though Subai is hesitant to fight such a high-level NPC, the reward is simply too massive to ignore. But Subai's counter-offer is pure insanity. He demands the lord seal his level down to 30, and that the guard captain join the fight too. Both the lord and the captain are left utterly speechless, unable to comprehend the sheer arrogance of this demand. Unfazed by their shock, Subai impatiently tells the two most powerful figures in the city to hurry up, as he plans to defeat them both at once. The guard captain and city lord exchange a look of disbelief, stunned by the sheer audacity of this level 10 player. But with their pride on the line, the lord accepts the insane challenge, demanding the young hero enlighten them. As the legendary 2v1 match begins, Subai stands alone, a lone warrior against the city's two most powerful guardians. A confident smirk crosses his face as he prepares to show them the true meaning of the word hero. Immediately, both the lord and captain unleash their full power, their auras exploding as they vow to end this quickly. The city lord charges forward with a blazing first stage slash, an attack meant to overwhelm any normal player instantly. But Subai moves with impossible speed, activating flash steps to vanish in a blur of blue lightning. He reappears behind the lord in the blink of an eye, leaving the veteran warrior completely stunned and defenseless. Just as he's about to strike, the guard captain unleashes a wave of deadly stone spikes to intercept him from afar. Yet instead of dodging, a wild grin spreads across Subai's face as he decides to meet the powerful attack head-on. With impossible grace, Subai effortlessly parries the storm of deadly spikes, his sword a blur against the golden barrage. The onlookers can only stare in disbelief, utterly terrified by the sheer speed and power of this so-called hero. But the two guardians aren't finished yet, resolving to unleash their true strength in a coordinated assault. The guard captain immediately casts a wide-area mud swamp to trap Subai's movements, turning the entire battlefield against him. Seizing the opening, the city lord lunges forward with a fiery second stage slash, an attack meant to cleave him in two. Yet Subai simply ducks under the predictable swing, mocking the city's strongest warrior for his amateur tactics. Enraged by the humiliation, the Lord screams and charges in for another desperate strike. Subai meets him head-on with a pierce combo, his lightning-infused blade clashing against the massive greatsword in a shower of sparks. Believing Subai is on the defensive, the Lord unleashes a third-stage chase slash to cut off his escape. But in that one moment, Subai has already vanished, reappearing with his blade pressed against the guard captain's throat, leaving the city lord completely frozen in shock. The crowd watches in awe, realizing the guard captain was taken down in less than half a minute by the hero's blinding speed. But Subai isn't finished, taunting the frozen city lord who can't believe this is the power of a mere level 10 player. Refusing to surrender his pride, the lord roars with defiance and ignites his greatsword with furious flames. He lunges forward with a desperate fourth-stage slash, a last-ditch effort to overwhelm his opponent. Yet, Subai meets the inferno head-on, his own lightning-infused sword aura slash clashing against the city lord's ultimate move. The fight ends in an instant as the lord collapses to his knees, his weapon shattered and his spirit broken by the one-sided defeat. Subai coldly points his blade at the fallen warrior, telling him that he is simply far too weak. With the battle over, a system notification confirms his victory and delivers the quest rewards directly to his inventory. Humbled, the lord and his captain admit their complete powerlessness, realizing that even at level 50, they would have stood no chance. Subai acknowledges their skills before turning to leave, as the city's strongest warriors can only watch him go with newfound respect. Subai casually departs, leaving the two strongest men in the city to see themselves out. As he leaps away with inhuman speed, the humbled city lord cryptically states that Subai is the one destined to lead them to the dawn. Back in the massive hub world of Rim City, players must use teleportation points to navigate the sprawling streets. Subai decides it's time to upgrade his skills, analyzing his options for maximum efficiency before his next quest. With a confident smirk, he instantly masters a new set of C-rank and D-rank abilities, planning to spam them for overwhelming firepower. His character sheet reveals the true source of his power, a Demon King class that lets him instantly max out any non-magical skill he learns. Now armed with a devastating new combo, he declares that even the dreaded Land of Wraiths will no longer be a problem. He confidently approaches a teleportation gate, ready to head straight into the high-level quest zone, but the guards reveal a surprisingly steep price for passage, a cost that doubles for the return trip. Unfazed, Subai pays the fee and is immediately engulfed in the brilliant light of the teleportation circle. Subai arrives in the desolate Land of Wraiths, immediately struck by how unnervingly real this high-level zone feels. He confidently hefts his one remaining greatsword, having sold all his other gear for this single, dangerous expedition. But his bravado is immediately undercut by the biting cold, a harsh reminder that this world now has real physical consequences. The eerie silence of the wasteland presses in, a stark and lonely difference from the game he once mastered. Still, with his legendary weapon in hand, he prepares for battle, believing it's all he needs to conquer the horrors ahead. Yet even a top-tier player can't ignore the freezing temperature, a humbling detail that shatters any illusion of invincibility. Suddenly, a rattling sound echoes through the canyon, and he whips around, sensing an unseen threat is finally approaching. From the darkness emerge level 21 skeleton warriors, their stats revealing them as mere fodder, but they are not alone. Instead of fear, a grin spreads across his face as an entire undead legion charges, giving him the perfect test subjects for his new skills. Without hesitation, he unleashes Stone Spike, a C-rank ability he just mastered, instantly turning the barren ground into a deadly weapon. The earth-shattering spikes erupt with deadly precision, instantly one-shotting the first wave of undead. With a smug grin, he unleashes another volley, effortlessly wiping out dozens more as the EXP notifications flood his screen. He lands with a surge of adrenaline, finally feeling the thrill of a real battle instead of a mindless tutorial. The entire canyon floor is littered with shattered bones, and in a flash of light, he levels up, gaining a massive 20 skill points. He stares at his stats in disbelief, realizing this reward is double what even a hero-class player would normally get. But the real shock comes from his attributes. Each level grants a plus 50 boost to all stats, a power scaling far beyond even the legendary SSS classes. Just as he's processing this insane growth, a new legion of skeletons charges from the shadows, their numbers even greater than before. Unfazed, he simply raises his hand and unleashes an even more devastating barrage of spikes across the entire battlefield. The attack forms a massive stone wall, and with the last skeleton shattered, a quest completion screen appears, rewarding him for the slaughter. But his satisfaction is cut short when a monstrous, shadowy figure emerges from the darkness, a hidden boss that wasn't supposed to be here. The true boss reveals itself a level 48 flaming skeleton with a staggering 500,000 hit points. But instead of fear, Subai grins with excitement, eager for a real challenge to grind. He effortlessly obliterates the fresh wave of minions, each one falling to a devastating one-shot kill. The Skull of Fire roars in fury, summoning a massive greatsword made of pure blue flame. Subai simply laughs, mocking the boss's attempt as he boasts about his infinite mana supply. In a desperate move, the boss begins sacrificing its own skeleton warriors, absorbing their souls to power up its ultimate attack. The creature itself seems shocked by the onslaught, wondering who the hell starts a fight by unleashing their full power. Realizing he'll be instantly killed if the boss completes its ritual, Subai abandons his spells and prepares to charge. He explodes forward with incredible speed, shattering the ground beneath him as he closes the distance in an instant. The boss is launched helplessly into the air, perfectly setting the stage for Subai's next brutal combo. With a taunting smile, Subai unleashes a relentless upward assault, landing 4 critical hits in a single instant. Enraged, the gigantic skeleton boss snatches him out of the air, preparing to crush the insolent player in its grasp. But Subai simply reveals his true power, spamming a devastating skill with 0 cooldown that tears the boss apart. His final, overwhelming blow lands directly on its skull, for a staggering 20,000 critical damage, ending the fight in a flash. Landing gracefully among the carnage, he scoffs at the boss's pathetic minions, mocking their weakness before him. The once mighty hidden boss shatters into nothing but glowing blue bone fragments that rain down onto the cursed ground. After an instant level up, Subai notices 2 mysterious skull flowers have bloomed where the boss fell, revealing a new quest objective. He plucks a flower and is shocked to discover it's not an item, but a D-class necromancy skill book, a power he never expected to find. Without a moment's hesitation, he invests his points and learns the forbidden art, gaining the ability to summon skeleton soldiers. Deciding to test his new power immediately, 2 armored skeletons claw their way out of the earth, awaiting his first command. He's shocked to find his new skeletons are incredibly powerful, scaling directly with his own stats to match level 40 monsters. Realizing their true purpose is large-scale warfare, he summons an entire undead army with a single command. His new legion effortlessly completes the quest for him, allowing him to sit back and reap the rewards without lifting a finger. With the first stage cleared, he and his minions advance into the ominous and unexplored Death Swamp. Immediately, he spots new creatures, but instead of seeing a threat, he sees potential new pets for his collection. Without hesitation, he unleashes his undead legion upon the unsuspecting swamp dwellers. The skeletons quickly swarm a lizard-like beast, pinning it down in a completely one-sided fight. But instead of killing it, he channels his new power, beginning a dark ritual over the defeated monster's body. The creature is reborn as a skeleton-horned lizard, a monstrous new summon with impossibly high stats. This successful summon immediately levels up his forbidden skill, unlocking even greater necromantic potential. While exploring the treacherous swamp, Subai suddenly senses a powerful disturbance echoing from the dark, rocky cliffs ahead. Intrigued by the surge of energy, he decides to abandon his hunt and investigate the source of the commotion. He arrives to find a monstrous werewolf abomination, a creature so powerful he can only guess how many lives were sacrificed to create it. Without warning, the beast lets out a deafening roar and lunges forward, its raw power exploding outwards in a violent pink aura. But Subai remains unfazed, recognizing it as a twisted creation of dark sorcery and preparing a spell to put the pitiful creature to rest. The monster brings its colossal fist down with enough force to shatter the ground, yet it's completely stopped by his defensive magic. Emerging from the dust without a single scratch, he smirks, almost impressed that the creature could even withstand his barrier. Now done playing defense, Subai unsheathes his sword, which immediately ignites with a brilliant golden light. He unleashes a devastating upward slash that connects perfectly, sending the towering beast flying backward in agony. The assault doesn't stop there, as a flurry of consecutive strikes tears through its body, instantly shredding thousands of its health points. Subai looks down on the roaring abomination, contemptuously calling it trash, before unleashing a final, devastating blow that lands as a massive 100,000-point critical hit. Even as the beast takes damage, a fraction reflects back, but his smirk shows it's utterly insignificant. The giant creature finally collapses, and Subai casually complains about how long the fight took. With the quest complete and a strange flower in hand, he decides it's time to head back to the city for a meeting. Back in West Rim City, he walks through the streets carrying his earnings, drawing curious stares from other players. He cashes in his loot, receiving a meager bag of coins for all his hard work. He reflects that grinding monsters all night is nothing compared to the real money made from setting records. But just as he's looking for a blacksmith, a commanding voice suddenly shouts for him to stop right there. A hostile group corners him, their leader furiously accusing him of losing an SSS rank crystal and demanding to know why he dares show his face. Realizing the crowd is too large and that only the Lin family could possibly recognize him, Subai decides to make a run for it. But his escape is futile, as he discovers the persistent group has followed him all the way outside the city walls. Now completely surrounded, one of the men points him out, loudly announcing the arrival of the famous super rookie. Playing dumb, Subai coolly asks what business they have with Subai, pretending to be a completely different person. The grunts are momentarily confused by his act, but their leader furiously snaps at their idiocy, knowing it's the same man. The level 49 player finally drops the pretense, demanding an explanation for the lost SSS rank crystal, only for Subai to scoff at the ridiculous request. Their leader makes a bold claim that anything found in their zone belongs to the kingdom, a statement Subai was waiting for as he challenges the entire mob at once. Believing victory is assured, the leader orders a full-scale coordinated assault, already dreaming of the priceless loot he's about to claim. As the entire mob charges forward as one, Subai simply stands his ground, calmly stating it's time to stretch a bit. He then effortlessly deflects a storm of incoming fireballs, mocking their pathetic attempt to kill him with mere numbers. With a single, lightning-fast slash, Subai instantly kills one of the attackers, sending a shockwave through their ranks. The entire mob freezes in disbelief, unable to comprehend how he just one-shotted a level 30 player with an instant, chantless skill. Their leader quickly recovers, screaming for the shield warriors to form a defensive front line, hoping to weather the storm. But Subai merely smirks, summoning a dozen heavy stone projectiles that hover menacingly in the air around him. The projectiles rain down with devastating force, shattering the magical shields of the tank line in a single, overwhelming volley. Onlookers from afar can only watch in awe, finally understanding how this monster managed to set the unbreakable newbie zone record. In a desperate counter, the enemy commander orders his ranged units to fire, but Subai effortlessly raises a stone wall to block every single spell. He then mocks their petty tricks, unleashing a barrage of multi-elemental magic, just to show them what true power looks like. The leader's face drains of all color as he's bombarded with notifications of his men being one-shot, realizing his only option is to flee. But as the cowards scatter, Subai simply stands over the carnage, amused by their futile attempt to escape his wrath. With a single flash step, Subai instantly closes the distance on the fleeing commander. He puts a blade to the man's throat, coldly demanding to know who sent him on this suicide mission. The coward desperately pleads for his life, claiming that if he speaks, his entire family will be annihilated. But realizing he's dead either way, the man makes one last, hopeless attempt to fight back. His attack is pathetic, and Subai disarms him with a single, contemptuous strike. Just then, a new voice emerges as robed figures surround the defeated man on the ground. It's Lin Yukon, and she's arrived with her own forces, dragging another captive behind her. Subai turns around, surprised by her sudden and convenient appearance. She presents the bound traitor to him, offering Subai the right to kill or punish him as he pleases. The captive then spits the truth. His betrayal was fueled by pure jealousy over their lady's favor. Subai casually hands the traitor over to Lin Yukon, who coldly agrees to punish him according to her clan's law. As the man's screams echo behind them, Subai walks away, noting her decisive and ruthless nature. Soon after, they arrive at the 11th floor portal, where he warns that this level is a monster nest filled with forgotten gods. Lin Yukon presents her elite mages, but Subai, taking command, immediately demands to see all of their skill lists. He quickly analyzes their abilities, impressed to discover that Lin Yukon herself possesses a rare S-rank flame demon summon. She then warns her guild that weakness is acceptable, but disobedience is not, though Subai remains unconvinced. Ignoring the shocked whispers of other players, their small, fearless party steps forward to challenge the dreaded 11th floor. Faced with a vast, empty battlefield, one of her guild members nervously questions if they brought enough people. But Subai reveals a secret game mechanic she never knew. The number of monsters directly scales with the party size. As the final countdown begins, he draws his sword and commands everyone to hold their positions for the imminent onslaught. A horde of level 13 wolf devourers materializes from the mist, their red eyes glowing with feral hunger. Unfazed, Subai steps forward, declaring he'll handle the first waves himself as a magic circle erupts beneath his feet. His stone spikes launch like missiles, instantly one-shotting the entire wave and granting him a massive EXP boost. Lin Yukon and her elite mages can only watch in stunned silence, realizing with horror that his skills have no cooldowns. As the battlefield falls silent, littered with corpses, she admits she has never witnessed a mage with such impossible power. But Subai just scoffs, dismissing his godlike display as something anyone with hands could do, leaving her utterly speechless. Meanwhile, her mages whisper in excitement, realizing they found the ultimate big shot to carry them through the dungeon. The party advances to a cliff's edge, surveying the next stage of this treacherous floor. Without warning, another wave attacks, and Subai unleashes a torrent of flaming projectiles to meet them head-on. Suddenly, a vicious, ape-like monster leaps from the trees, forcing Lin Yukon herself to finally draw her weapon and enter the fight. With the battle heating up, Subai calmly orders Lin Yukon to summon her powerful flame demon. She unleashes her mana, and from a vortex of fire, a small but ferocious demonic familiar erupts onto the battlefield. Seeing the enemy horde approaching, Subai rallies the party, commanding them to prepare for an all-out assault. An army of skeletal monsters charges forward, and he orders his team to engage them without a shred of fear. As the mages ready their spells, Subai unleashes his own devastating magic, casting Sandstorm Field and Stone Spike to control the fight. But it's the tiny flame demon that strikes first, incinerating the front line with a massive fireball. After its first kill, the creature begins to glow with an intense, unstable energy. Subai watches calmly, knowing its terrifying secret: the more monsters it kills, the more it multiplies. Just as he predicts, the single demon splits into 3 copies, overwhelming the enemy with a coordinated fiery assault. Soon the field is swarming with 8 demons, and as Lin Yukon explains the skill's limits, Subai simply states he already knows everything. The party begins to panic as their flame demon summon weakens, but Subai calmly promises it won't vanish. Suddenly, the creature's power flickers violently, its fiery form on the verge of collapsing. Lin Yukon cries out in horror as the demon's flames extinguish and its body begins turning to stone. But with a confident smirk, Subai tells everyone not to worry, because he's about to handle this personally. He begins channeling a mysterious blue energy, weaving a complex spell no one has ever seen before. A glowing sigil slams into the ground, marking the start of his forbidden ritual. The strange energy consumes a precious S-rank crystal, melting it down to fuel his terrifying technique. As a dark purple aura erupts, Lin Yukon recognizes the impossible power with dread. This is death summoning. The flame demon is instantly reborn, its power level skyrocketing as it transforms into a horrifying new entity. Now a true monster of undeath, the enhanced summon charges forward to unleash absolute hell upon their enemies. Subai marvels at the sheer power he can now unleash by combining his magic with his undead summon. His party members are left speechless, finally understanding that his strength is on an entirely different level, possibly even SSS rank. With such an overwhelming ally, Lin Yukon becomes confident they're on track to shatter the dungeon-clearing record. Meanwhile, in the Wang Guild headquarters, a furious Wang Zishi berates his men for their humiliating failure against a single rookie. But the calculating Li Yuran sees this not as a failure, but as a golden opportunity to strike. She unveils a sinister plan to spread rumors that Subai lost his SSS rank crystal due to a shady deal with Lin Yukon. Wang Zishi erupts in laughter, eager to ruin the Lin family's reputation with this vicious lie. Back on the 11th floor, Subai's party charges through the frozen wastes, racing towards the next boss. He effortlessly unleashes a blast of wind magic, decimating the ice monsters blocking their path. Lin Yukon can only stare in disbelief, recognizing the high-level spell as something no one on this floor should be able to cast. Subai confidently rallies his team, pushing them forward as they are on the verge of shattering the dungeon record. But they arrive at the final stage to find a chaotic battlefield, forcing Lin Yukon to ask for his next move. Subai shocks everyone by ordering them to stay put, declaring he will clear this final stage completely alone. Despite her team's protests, Lin Yukon places her absolute faith in him, silencing them with a simple statement: he has never failed. Far from his team, a brilliant light erupts from Subai's back as he manifests a pair of massive, fiery wings. He then reveals his true secret, activating the fist aura from his perfect grade Fire Dragon gauntlets. This isn't a mage's spell, but a level 10 fighter skill that coats his fists in raw, destructive power. Subai unleashes his newfound martial arts, launching a volley of explosive punches that tear through the air. His party can only watch in utter disbelief as they realize his physical attacks are also imbued with devastating magic damage. Subai roars with excitement, his combat power now doubled as he proves himself to be an impossible dual class of both magic and martial arts. Subai decides that fighting through the horde is a waste of time, and he needs a shortcut straight to the boss. So he unleashes a power no one expected, summoning a massive legion of the undead to clear his path. With his army of guards now flanking him, he charges forward with a confident smirk. He commands his forces to choke the entrance, his summon count soaring to over 700 as he revels in the power of commanding thousands. Meanwhile, Lin Yukon and her party watch in complete awe, admitting this isn't a tower clear, it's a one-man war. But suddenly, Subai's expression shifts as he senses a powerful presence approaching. The true boss of the floor finally reveals itself, a colossal level 180 snowbear, whose roar shakes the very cavern. Unfazed, Subai summons a flame demon as a distraction and activates his fist aura, ready for a direct confrontation. He easily dodges the beast's devastating smash, laughing as he prepares to get serious. Closing the distance in an instant, he lands a devastating fiery blow, mocking the massive creature for being far too slow. The giant snowbear unleashes a devastating whirlwind attack, tearing the cavern apart with its immense power. Even Subai is forced to admit this thing is strong, realizing he must end this quickly before he's buried alive. But the beast suddenly uses flash steps, a speed skill completely unexpected from its size, as it brings its club crashing down. Subai responds in kind, unleashing a rapid-fire fire fist that deals 4 consecutive critical hits, instantly melting the boss's health bar. He then uses his own flash step, effortlessly closing the distance to land another brutal blow on its back. With a confident smirk, he mocks the dumb brute, declaring that the fight is already over. A final, sonic speed barrage of fists pummels the boss's face, each critical hit pushing it closer to oblivion as it roars in agony. And just like that, it's done, with Subai casually standing over the corpse, more annoyed about the snow than the fight. Meanwhile, Lin Yukon and her party can only stare in utter disbelief, unable to process that he already killed the boss. Their shock turns to awe as a world announcement declares a new record for Floor 11, confirming they somehow actually cleared it. Lin Yukon's party can only stare in disbelief, realizing Subai single-handedly defeated the boss before they even entered the fight. Suddenly, a world announcement shatters the peace in Rim City, broadcasting Subai's impossible new record to every player online. The city erupts in debate as players argue over how he did it, certain that not even the strongest S-rank professionals could match this speed. Whispers spread through the streets that the Floor 11 monsters can only be restrained by holy classes, making Subai's feat even more mysterious. Meanwhile, at the Yan Kingdom War Council, Captain Su Kang explodes in fury, demanding his strategy team find the man who is shattering every record in the game. His intel officer reports that Subai's only known activity was wiping out a high-level party, but otherwise, he's a complete ghost with no ranking. Ignoring the standard protocols, the captain declares Subai's potential rating is to be immediately elevated to the legendary SSS rank. Staring at a profile filled with nothing but unknown, he wonders what kind of monster could possibly hide his identity so perfectly. Just then, an agent bursts into the room with an urgent report, his face pale with panic. He delivers news so shocking that even the hardened captain can only stare in wide-eyed disbelief, muttering that it's completely impossible. The captain stares in disbelief, as a new world announcement declares Subai has already cleared floor 12 inches, a record-shattering time. This means he just defeated the deadly level 22 merman boss of the treacherous Shadow Abyss. Back on the floor, Subai coolly asks his exhausted party if they can still continue this impossible pace. But inspired by his power, they roar with determination, ready to fight until they drop for this legendary record. With his party's resolve hardened, Subai leads them toward floor 13, as Lin Yukon realizes he must be an SSS rank monster. Meanwhile, in the Wang Guild's war room, Wang Zishi erupts in fury, realizing they're finished now that every guild is fighting to recruit the SSS rank newcomer. He turns on his partner Li Yueron, accusing the cunning strategist of orchestrating all their failed plans to stop Subai. When he brings up their childhood engagement, she coldly dismisses it as a joke, shattering any leverage he thought he had. He screams that ambushing Subai was her idea, but she plays the victim, forcing him to realize her betrayal runs deeper than he ever imagined. Calling him useless trash, she walks away, leaving Wang Zishi to finally understand he was nothing but a pawn in her grand scheme all along. On floor 13, the Plane of Evil echoes. Their advance is a relentless storm of one-shot kills. Inspired by his power, Lin Yukon and her team are also clearing mobs with ruthless efficiency. But for Subai, even this record-breaking pace is agonizingly slow as he effortlessly cuts down screeching rabbits. He quickly devises a new strategy, ordering his party to surround and block each of the rabbit burrows. With the exits sealed, he prepares to flush them all out at once by unleashing a massive fireball. The trapped monsters have nowhere to run, caught in a fiery inferno of his making. His plan works perfectly, wiping out the entire nest in one fell swoop and saving precious time. As the dust settles, Lin Yukon can only marvel at his endless stamina after clearing 3 floors in a row. Without a moment's rest, he leads them straight to the gates of the ominous boss area. Inside, they find not a beast, but a sinister man named Winslayton, guarded by demonic hounds and terrified children. Subai confidently declares he will face the boss alone, leaving his party in awe of his legendary status. Without hesitation, he kicks down the massive gate, roaring a challenge for the boss, Winslayton, to face him. Inside, the sinister Winslayton snarls, promising death to the intruder who interrupted his dark ritual. The boss unleashes a strange, insidious power that even the party outside can feel is dangerous. A piercing sound wave blasts through the walls, overwhelming Lin Yukon and her powerful guild members. But Subai is completely unfazed, mocking the boss's cheap tricks as he strolls through the attack. In an instant, he unleashes a devastating blue energy slash, ending the boss in a single, overwhelming strike. Later that night, the party rests around a campfire, exhausted but thrilled by the most exciting leveling they've ever experienced. Lin Yukon offers him food, recognizing he must be the most tired, but he simply claims his physique is on another level. And his stats prove it, revealing his two hidden classes, Hero and Demon King, a broken combination of balanced growth and raw power. Subai experiments with a mysterious item, testing if the clock of all things can truly upgrade skills. He's stunned to discover it actually works, offering a 30-day growth path to a B-rank skill. In an instant, the upgrade completes, granting him the powerful B-rank Frostblade Spear as his party rests. But the next evolution to a rare A-rank skill comes with an astronomical price he can't yet afford. After reviewing his impressive skill list, he realizes that earning gold is now his top priority. Later, while his party recovers, he sits alone, quietly eating a ration to replenish his energy. His guildmates watch in awe, inspired by the SSS tier monster who still grinds like his life depends on it. Suddenly, they declare themselves ready to move out, leaving a confused Lin Yukon completely baffled by their renewed spirit. Without hesitation, Subai leaps to his feet, prepared to continue their relentless hunt. With his entire party now fired up, he gives the order to pack up and push forward. Subai confidently leads his party deeper into the tower, warning them not to get lost on this treacherous floor. For they have arrived at the dreaded 14th floor, the Stone Colossus Array, where other players are already locked in a desperate battle. Wasting no time, his team dives into the fray, effortlessly cleaving through the level 24 flame beetles. But the swarms are just a distraction, as deadly man-eating vines suddenly burst from the earth to overwhelm them. After clearing the path, they reach an empty dead end, causing his party to doubt their direction. Yet Subai remains utterly certain. He then walks towards a seemingly solid wall, a trail of fire erupting behind him as he prepares to reveal the floor's true secret. Lin Yukon can only watch in absolute shock, unable to comprehend what she is witnessing. Suddenly, the wall crumbles away to reveal the hidden bosses, the level 29 twin golems, whom Subai greets with chilling familiarity. The ancient stone guardians awaken, their eyes glowing with menacing red light as they lock onto their target, and with a ground-shattering stomp, the colossal boss charges forward to begin a fight unlike any other. Subai dives from above, unleashing a devastating dash strike that smashes directly into one of the stone guardians. He lands with an explosion of force, contemptuously dismissing the ancient beings as solid lumps of trash. The twin golems retaliate with a furious pincer attack, but Subai effortlessly weaves between their clumsy blows, crackling with electrical energy. One of the colossal guardian's eyes begin to glow with a menacing red light as it channels a powerful new attack. Subai simply smirks, mockingly asking if the boss is already resorting to its ultimate move so early in the fight. Before it can even react, he closes the distance in a blur of motion, leaving a trail of pure energy in his wake. He easily parries the golem's clumsy strike, calling its attempt to reflect his power child's play as the ground shatters beneath them. Enraged, the golem's eyes flare with an even more intense, cross-shaped power, signaling its true final attack. A massive beam of pure, destructive energy erupts from the guardian, threatening to vaporize everything in its path. But witnessing this terrifying display, Lin Yukon can only stare in absolute horror at a level of power she never thought possible. Subai ignores the overwhelming pressure and leaps forward, ready to strike with his electrified mace, bringing the weapon down with crushing force upon the guardian's head. A devastating critical strike lands, staggering the colossal golem and halting its ultimate attack. But Subai isn't done, deciding it's the perfect time to test out a brand new skill. He summons a chilling frost blade, transforming his spear into a conduit of pure ice magic, and an eruption of frozen energy instantly shatters the first guardian, turning the fight into a slaughter. The remaining golem desperately retaliates with a furious barrage of energy beams from its eyes and mouth. Yet Subai effortlessly evades, raining down a volley of lethal ice spears from above. The final guardian is utterly annihilated, its stone head pierced through by a blinding flash of frozen light. And standing over the icy remains, he coldly declares the fight over, revealing yet another terrifying power. Lin Yukon screams a desperate warning that the shattered remains are about to reform the boss. But Subai simply smirks, dismissing the ultimate threat with a casual snap of his fingers. In an instant, massive ice crystals erupt from the ground, locking down the entire battlefield. The others can only stare in awe, realizing he's used an unheard-of strategy to freeze every single fragment in place. Moments later, a world announcement declares that yet another floor record has been completely shattered. With their path cleared, the team now prepares to face the final and most difficult challenge yet. Meanwhile, back in Rim City, hushed whispers of Subai's monstrous progress are already spreading like wildfire. Suddenly, a group of powerful players makes their way through the stunned crowds. Drawn by the commotion, they can barely comprehend how anyone has already cleared 14 floors when another world announcement begins to chime. Before they can even process the news, he sets an impossible new record for the 15th floor, leaving the entire world speechless. In the city, Wang Zishi can only stare in disbelief at the impossible announcements. Meanwhile, Subai casually announces they've cleared the 15th floor, leaving his party stunned. Grateful for the carry, Lin Yukon stops him, insisting her powerful family must repay him. As her guild prepares to leave through the portal, she begins to lay out her generous terms. She offers a staggering 10,000 gold for every single floor he helped them clear. Seeing a golden opportunity, Subai then offers her a discount on future record-breaking runs. Stunned by the proposition, she immediately tries to book him for the next 15 floors. He instantly regrets his big mouth, realizing the discount will cost him a fortune, but her final condition is far more personal than he could have ever imagined. She stuns him by declaring that the only compensation she truly wants is him. Subai clarifies his shocking proposal, stating he only wants the two of them in the party, calling her powerful guild members dead weight. Flustered but strategic, she quickly agrees, admitting his power was so overwhelming that they were just slowing him down. With the deal struck for a private run, he sets a meeting for 3 days later and casually walks away, leaving her stunned. Now with time to kill, Subai immediately turns his attention back to grinding, planning to clear every single available quest in Rim City. He approaches the city's quest board, ready to begin his monumental task of clearing the entire board. With a confident smirk, he takes a quest from a stunned official, his intentions becoming terrifyingly clear. Stepping out into the city square, he makes the bold declaration to accept every single mission available, shocking all the nearby players. He then heads straight for the teleportation gate, confidently telling the guards his destination is the West Mountain Mine. A brilliant flash of light erupts from the portal as his body begins to dematerialize for the journey. Arriving in the desolate mining area, he's momentarily blinded by the flash, complaining that one day these portals will be the end of him. Subai is suddenly interrupted by yet another friend request from the persistent Pei Ling Sui. Finding her endless attempts annoying, he rejects her without a second thought and continues into the mine. Meanwhile, in her lavish residence, Pei Ling Sui is absolutely seething, having been rejected an astonishing 27 times. Her fury turns to murderous intent when she discovers he's not just rejecting her, but has now blacklisted her entirely. Back in the mine, Subai is completely unbothered, effortlessly one-shotting entire mobs of skeleton Darkblade warriors. In a matter of moments he completes a whole slate of quests, smugly declaring the task was far too easy. To speed up the monotonous grind, he reveals yet another hidden power, summoning his own undead soldiers from the ground. With his new skeleton army in tow, he sets his sights on the next quest location, the Guerline snowfields. Arriving in the frozen wasteland, he revels in the immense power that comes with commanding his own personal army. But his moment of glory is cut brutally short as the freezing cold reality of the snowfields immediately hits him. To combat the bitter cold, Subai decides to warm things up by conjuring a simple fireball, but as a system debuff slows his entire army, he's forced to create a ring of fire just to stay mobile. Soon he encounters his first targets, a group of deceptively cute furball snow monsters, though his own undead summon knows better than to think their appearance will grant them any mercy. As the furball horde begins to swell in numbers, his skeleton army charges forward to meet them head-on, and Subai supports the assault by unleashing a powerful stream of concentrated fire. Yet he's immediately disappointed, finding the damage of his C-rank spell utterly pathetic compared to his old powers, which reminds him of the astronomical, mind-breaking cost it took to upgrade skills in his past life. Deciding it's not worth the expense, he resolves to just grind the quests like a normal player. But his version of normal is a devastating meteor shower of fire that blankets the entire battlefield. Subai effortlessly obliterates his foes with a volley of devastating ice arrows, smirking as he finally masters dual spell casting and already plans his next power-up. But suddenly, a strange purple energy erupts from the battlefield, catching him completely off guard. The cute furball monsters he was farming begin to dissolve into a sinister black smoke, which then coalesces and twists into the haunting forms of resentful spirits. Subei's confidence shatters as he realizes he's stumbled into a hidden high-level test site, where he now faces enemies that can only be harmed by light or dark magic, a type he doesn't possess. For the first time, the unbeatable Rookie King makes a tactical retreat, knowing this is a fight he absolutely cannot win. Meanwhile, another unsuspecting player wandering the snowfields notices the strange black mist approaching, and a moment later, he and his party flee in terror as the mist begins to drain their very souls. 3 days after his humiliating retreat, Subei prepares to open a hoard of treasure chests provided by the Lin Guild. But his luck is abysmal, pulling nothing but common trash and leaving him utterly furious. Hearing his outburst, the powerful guild leader, Lin Yukan, peeks in, worried about his reaction. She enters and offers to take care of the junk items, trying to soothe the dazed and disappointed player. To change the subject, she presents him with an insane upfront payment of 100,000 gold, a sign of her guild's immense trust and resources. Subei accepts the deal, casually dropping a bombshell that he wants to meet her father, leaving her completely stunned. Shaking it off, he tells her to get ready, as their next target is conquering the tower itself. With their business concluded, he turns his attention back to his real problem, desperately praying for the light-type skills he needs. And this time, the system delivers, granting him multiple holy light skills, including a powerful B-rank ability. He laughs maniacally, realizing that with this new power added to his arsenal, he's become a monster far beyond even his previous life's peak. With his new power secured, Subei kicks down the door to his next meeting, but is immediately met by an imposing woman who effortlessly dodges his explosive entrance. He instantly recognizes her as Pei Lingshe, a legendary level 100 assassin from whom escape is impossible. The assassin smirks, impressed he knows her name, as Lin Yukan watches in utter shock from the background. Lin Yukan frantically explains that this is a top 100 globally ranked player from the legendary first-line raid division, but Pei seems more intrigued by his lack of reaction, questioning why he isn't stunned by her presence. Subei, completely unfazed, cuts straight to the point, coldly asking what she wants from him. Amused by his attitude, she offers him a spot in her elite 11th squad, an invitation most would kill for. Yet, to everyone's absolute disbelief, Subei calmly rejects the legendary offer without a second thought. As she explodes in frustration, he calmly explains that he needs no one, for he can conquer the tower all by himself. Pei Lingshui argues that he can't possibly solo the upper floors, but Subei coldly rejects her little group. She desperately tries to reason with him, but he already knows the truth of the tower, having cleared 300 floors in his past life. Instead of joining, he offers a counter-proposal. He'll work for them as a paid consultant, an external member with no strings attached. Realizing she can't afford to lose this prodigy, Pei immediately accepts, terrified of what would happen if another guild secured him first. She's so prepared for this outcome that she pulls out a pre-written contract, shocking everyone with her foresight. But before signing, Subei adds one more condition, demanding her squad help him gather materials for legendary equipment. Relieved that he didn't ask for an impossible sum of money, she eagerly agrees to have her squad cover all the costs. With all his demands met, the regressor calmly puts pen to paper, sealing a deal with one of the most powerful players in the world. The contract is signed, and a wave of relief washes over Pei as she realizes her critical mission is finally complete. Just as he's about to leave to set another record, she excitedly asks if she can watch him conquer the 16th floor. Subei agrees to her request with a smirk, telling her she'll need to keep up with his strength. Meanwhile, watching from a monitor, the elite strategist Pei Lingshui scoffs at his sheer arrogance. Moments later, Subei and his companion arrive on the fiery and treacherous 16th floor of the tower. Pei settles in to watch, curious to see what the supposed top champion is truly capable of. Almost immediately, a horde of monstrous crab-like creatures swarms towards the lone pair. But Subei doesn't even flinch, calmly preparing to unleash a devastating skill called Chaos Fire Rain. With a simple flick of his finger, he calls down a storm of pure destruction from the heavens. The monsters are instantly vaporized by pillars of fire in a completely one-sided slaughter. Pei leaps from her seat in disbelief, screaming that his damage is impossible for a level 20 player. Her initial skepticism dissolves into pure terror as she realizes the true scale of his horrifying power. After the one-sided slaughter, Subei and Lin Yuchan casually roast the remains of the monsters they just killed. And a mere 2 hours later, They've not only feasted on the floor boss but have also shattered the 16th floor clear record, shocking the entire world. News of this impossible feat immediately reaches the highest echelons, as the top-ranked player Su Kang is urgently contacted. His subordinate, Pei Ling Shou, reports with frantic excitement, declaring that they've finally struck gold with this new recruit. And so, while the duo continues their climb, their legend begins to spread like wildfire across the server. 1 week later, the entire player base can only stare in disbelief as Subai's name permanently dominates every single ranking board. But his individual glory has put their nation on the back foot, as foreign super alliances begin to rapidly conquer the tower. Riding the wave of his fame, countless new recruits now swarm the Lin Guild headquarters, desperate to join the rising power. Yet Subai himself has returned to Rim City, boldly accepting a citywide war quest to solve a crisis he alone created. His first trial is to defeat a level 80 summoner, a challenge far harder than his past life, but he accepts it without a moment's hesitation as Lin Yukan watches in awe. Lin Yukan eagerly follows Subai, declaring that this is a duel she absolutely has to witness. But upon arriving at the training grounds, his opponent, a fully armored summoner, scoffs at his low level and questions his decision to fight. Impressed by his courage, the summoner dons his helmet, ready to witness the strength of this bold challenger. Without a moment's hesitation, he unleashes his full power, instantly summoning 3 terrifying level 80 beasts that tower over the arena. The sheer speed and overwhelming power of the summons leaves Lin Yukan completely stunned and afraid for Subai. Yet Subai remains unfazed, casually preparing a simple fire rain spell to test the waters. The attack is easily deflected as the summoner mocks the spell's obvious flaws, believing Subai has made a critical error. But this was merely a feint, as Subai reveals a far more complex magic circle, declaring the real show is about to begin. Suddenly, the ground erupts with a powerful purple lotus technique, completely immobilizing one of the massive summoned beasts. Watching from the sidelines, the city lord and his captain are left speechless, realizing they're witnessing the impossible, dual-element spellcasting. The summoner counters with a massive Ice Fang dragon, trying to overwhelm Subai with sheer power. He immediately follows up with a Shadow Grizzly, trapping his opponent between 2 legendary beasts. But Subai's own magic effortlessly neutralizes both summons, mocking the summoner's futile efforts. Then, revealing his true forbidden power, Subai summons his own undead warrior to pierce through the defense. However, the skeleton is just a feint, as Subai's real strategy is to capture the king first. Suddenly, the summoner finds himself completely immobilized by an inescapable bone prison erupting from the ground. Powerless and utterly defeated, the once proud warrior can only sigh and give up the fight. Subai calmly offers a hand, ending the one-sided match without breaking a sweat. The humbled summoner can only thank him for the lesson, admitting he was no match for a true hero. Meanwhile, the city lord consoles his champion, acknowledging that losing to a monster like Subai is perfectly normal. The guard captain approaches, stunned by Subai's use of the legendary no-chant casting. He then shamelessly begs the young hero to teach him this impossible skill, along with dual-element magic. Suddenly, a special quest appears, offering one of the captain's own exclusive skills as a reward for his mentorship. Subai agrees, casually extending the same priceless offer to a shocked and flustered Lin Yukan. With the pleasantries over, the city lord officially entrusts Subai with the final, critical phase of the city's defense. But when told to rally all players, Subai makes an insane declaration. He alone will guard the entire south gate. The city lord is left speechless, questioning if one man truly intends to hold back an army by himself. After Subai's cold reassurance, the lord reluctantly agrees to handle the strongest monsters, while announcing the crisis to the city. Just as planned, another quest triggers, doubling the rewards from his past life, and granting him a priceless A-rank skill. Moments later, a city-wide announcement echoes through the streets, informing every player that the fate of the South Gate rests on Subai alone. The city is in an uproar as players react to the news, calling Subai insane for triggering such a massive event. Meanwhile, a nervous Lin Yukan suggests they call for the frontline raid groups to defend the city. But Subai calmly explains that since the Beast Tide's level is below 200, the top players won't even bother to show up. He then reveals his true strategy. By having a low-level rookie guard the gate, he's baiting the system to spawn weaker monsters. Realization dawns on Lin Yukan, and inspired by his genius plan, she eagerly asks to join his defense. Subai agrees, but on one impossible condition: she must master dual element and no-chance spellcasting in just 24 hours. She is left utterly speechless, knowing that mastering such god-tier techniques in a single day is unheard of. Elsewhere, Pei Lingshou reads a message from Subai curtly refusing any backup for the beast tide he single-handedly caused. She can only sigh in resignation, acknowledging that a man of his power truly doesn't need anyone's help. Back at the training grounds, Subai begins his lesson, revealing the secret to Subai reveals the final secret to his god-tier magic, casually telling a stunned Lin Yukon to master it and then teach the city's guard captain. He then completely dismisses her, saying he's going for a nap and leaving her to train alone against impossible odds. By the next day, the entire city is buzzing not about the coming apocalypse, but about a mysterious live streamer broadcasting Subai's one-man defense. Whispers fill the tavern as even powerful. High-level players reveal they were rejected from helping, deepening the mystery of his insane strategy. Suddenly, a massive screen in the town square confirms the terrifying truth as the crowd watches the broadcast, wondering if he's truly defending the gate alone. The operator, Wu Kai, greets his massive audience, ready to capture what could be either a legendary victory or a public execution. Viewers flood the live chat with anticipation, demanding to see the man who would challenge an entire army by himself. Wu Kai then points his camera to the top of the wall, revealing Subai and Lin Yukon standing together, ready to face the horde. The crowd erupts as they finally lay eyes on their hero, their cheers echoing through the city as the world tunes in. But just as the hype reaches its peak, citywide alarms blare as the beast tide arrives, and the stream suddenly cuts to black, leaving everyone to believe it's already over. As lightning cracks across the sky, Subai calmly declares it's time to get to work, standing ready for the invasion. Without a hint of fear, he unleashes a devastating spell called Chaos Fire Rain upon the approaching horde. Meanwhile, the livestream suddenly flickers back on, and the crowd gasps in disbelief, realizing he's casting high-tier magic without an incantation. But atop the wall, Lin Yukon struggles to keep her composure, completely overwhelmed by the sheer scale of his plan. In a shocking twist, Subai isn't just fighting. He's teaching her to summon her own flame demons in the middle of a war. She succeeds, a triumphant look on her face, as Subai gives a simple nod of unimpressed approval. He then commands her to join him, and together they begin casting the same massive spell in perfect sync. An impossible number of magic circles fill the sky, unleashing a catastrophic volley of fire upon the helpless army below. Yet even after this godlike display, Subai seems disappointed, muttering that 9 volleys is still his limit. The initial wave of the beast tide is instantly vaporized, completely annihilated in a one-sided slaughter. Viewers watching the live stream are left speechless, calling Subai a god for conjuring such impossible power. But just as the flames die down, he reveals another forbidden skill, beginning an undead summon. An entire legion of armored skeletons bursts from the ground, shocking everyone with their impossible numbers. The streamer shouts in a mix of terror and awe, declaring Subai a living war deity who commands both fire and death. Back on the wall, Subai calmly tells a determined Lin Yukon to rest, preparing her for the long battle ahead. She asks how long this war will last, and his chilling reply reveals it could be days of non-stop fighting. An hour later, he's still single-handedly holding the line, realizing even his 9 volleys are barely enough. His allies can only watch in disbelief, as he guards the entire city alone, with a sea of flames. Inspired by his overwhelming power, Lin Yukon vows to give it her all, refusing to be left behind. He gives a rare smile of approval, warning her that this was just the beginning as the truly strong monsters are yet to come. After an entire day of non-stop fighting, Lin Yukon insists that Subai finally take a moment to rest and eat. Meanwhile, inside the Zhou clan dynasty's headquarters, panic ensues as they realize they lack the manpower to handle the crisis. Seething with rage, Zhou Junkai blames the entire catastrophic situation on Subai's actions. He immediately orders his subordinates to distribute the thousands of incoming players to other guilds, offloading his responsibility. With a sinister smirk, he decides to let the entire city share the burden of his failure. Soon, a world announcement from the Zhou dynasty paints them as heroes, causing players to mock Subai for resting during a war. The public sentiment quickly turns, with crowds praising the Zhou clan's leadership while calling Subai arrogant. Disgusted players begin abandoning their own guilds, believing Subai's overconfidence has infected his allies. A mysterious hooded figure silently watches as dissent and doubt spread throughout the city walls. Back in the meeting room, Zhou Junkai's men laugh at the very idea that one man alone could ever stop a beast tide of this impossible scale. Zhou Junkai smirks, convinced that even an SSS rank player like Subai is doomed to fail. But as night falls, Subai stands alone on the wall, watching a tide of fire and monsters crash against their defenses. With a single spell, he unleashes his forbidden power, summoning colossal undead warriors from the shadows. A concerned Lin Yukon approaches, Asking him just how long this impossible siege will last, Subai calmly reveals a horrifying truth. The invasion will rage on for another 5 days. A nearby player overhears this, his face twisting in terror at the thought of surviving 5 more days of hell. Yet Subai remains unfazed, declaring that even if the difficulty increases tenfold, it won't be enough to stop him. Before anyone can react, he leaps from the wall, diving headfirst into the endless horde below. His allies can only stare in disbelief, wondering if their only hope just committed suicide before their very eyes. Instead of a suicidal plunge, Subai lands perfectly amidst the monsters, completely unharmed. On the wall, his allies can only stare in disbelief, stunned by his impossible physical stats. He then carves a path through the demonic horde, his blade a blur of motion against the beasts. But Lin Yukan notices something strange. He's not just killing them, he's throwing their bodies into glowing magic circles. She realizes with a gasp that he's single-handedly setting up some kind of massive formation in the middle of the battlefield. The other players erupt in awe, calling him a god as they struggle to comprehend the scale of his plan. Whispers spread through the crowd, questioning if he's a spellcaster or a fighter, as even top-ranked players couldn't replicate such a feat. With his task complete, he effortlessly leaps from the ground, soaring back towards the top of the city wall in a single bound. And just as suddenly, he lands silently beside the terrified livestreamer, as if he'd just gone for a casual stroll. Subai calmly explains his formation is set, and they can now settle in for a long, drawn-out battle. He tells the awestruck livestreamer to wake him if anything goes wrong, treating the demonic invasion like a nap. And just as he promised, the formation activates, unleashing a storm of one-hit kills upon the horde below. His allies can only stare in disbelief, utterly terrified by the sheer power of something he set up so casually. While the others stand watch, Subai rests, leaving Lin Yukan to wonder if there are any limits to his true strength. But 3 days later, the situation has grown dire, as powerful boss-level monsters finally begin to breach their defenses. Yet while the entire city panics, Subai is seen grilling meat over a fire, completely unbothered by the impending doom. His indifferent attitude is broadcast for all to see, turning public opinion against him as players begin to lose hope. Meanwhile, a sinister group in the crowd smirks, realizing the perfect show is just about to begin. After finishing his meal, Subai stretches lazily, completely unfazed by the chaos around him. He then turns to a worried Lin Yukan, telling her to stand back and leave everything to him. With a burst of speed, he leaps from the city walls, diving headfirst into the enemy horde. His insane action leaves the city's top players watching from afar in utter disbelief. The players below can only watch in horror as he single-handedly challenges the massive werewolf pack. In a flash of blue light, he carves through the monsters, each strike a devastating critical hit. He then unleashes a powerful punch that vaporizes a beast's head, revealing shocking physical power. The audience finally understands the terrifying truth. Subai isn't just a mage, but a dual-class martial artist. Even the hidden elders of the city are left speechless, calling this insane youngster truly impressive. The world's #1 ranked player, Li Jianxian, is utterly captivated, finding this display more beautiful than clearing the highest floors. He watches in awe as Subai's forces demonstrate the terrifying power of a true magic martial dual cultivator. Li Jianxian then challenges his own disciples, questioning if any of them could ever hope to replicate such masterful control. With a laugh, the legendary player admits that even he himself couldn't perform such an impossible feat. Meanwhile, back in the battle, Subai unleashes a flawless and devastating combination of sword skills against another monstrous foe. The old master observes every perfectly linked movement, declaring Subai's combat technique to be simply transcendent. This godlike skill forces him to wonder who could have trained such a prodigy, only to be told that Subai is an orphan. The shocking revelation leaves his followers speechless, unable to comprehend this impossible reality. Convinced he's witnessing a peerless genius, Li Jianxian resolves that he must now meet this mysterious player in person. While his allies panic over the enemy's main force, Subai remains completely unfazed in the background. Meanwhile, in the strategy room, even the top brass doubt if anyone can hold against the coming level 90 elite bosses. Suddenly, a smug captain named Zhou Wang reports that his forces are already organized for the emergency response. But the veteran Su Kang immediately questions if any guild is truly capable of handling a disaster of this scale. Zhou Wang arrogantly boasts that his own son, leading a hand-picked team of elites, can easily handle the threat. This infuriates Su Kang, who realizes the captain has selfishly pulled powerful players from the main strategy group. The legendary Li Jianxian then steps in, threatening to strip the man of his rank for using the crisis for his son's glory. Another commander seethes, vowing to report this treachery the moment Subai inevitably crushes the beast tide. And back on the battlefield, Subai is doing just that, single-handedly pushing back the overwhelming monster army day after day. For 7 grueling days, Subai has single-handedly held the line against an endless tide of monsters. As he returns to the city walls, his allies ask if his impossible defense has finally ended the war. But Subai's gaze darkens as he reveals the true battle is only just beginning, for the final boss is about to descend. Suddenly, a terrifying level 99 Lord-tier elite boss materializes, its sheer presence striking fear into everyone watching. Lin Yukan screams in terror, realizing this is the most powerful boss near Rim City, a foe no single player should ever face. Meanwhile, in the strategy room, even the world's strongest players descend into chaos, certain that Subai's defeat is now inevitable. Yet, the treacherous Captain Zhou Wang smirks, secretly hoping for Subai's failure, so his own son can claim the final glory. Back on the wall, his companion begs him to retreat, but Subai calmly agrees that he isn't the one who will fight this monster. A chilling smirk spreads across his face as he clarifies it's not a matter of can't, but that someone else is about to get the fight they've been waiting for. Just as he finishes speaking, the terrifying Lord-tier boss lunges forward to annihilate the city wall, but before it can land a single hit, a blinding beam of divine light erupts from the cannons. The blast slams into the beast, instantly dealing a critical 100,000 points of damage. Subai reveals his master plan, using the city's own silver-grade divine wind cannons against the invasion. His companions erupt in cheers, believing the level 99 Lord-tier boss has finally been defeated. Yet Subai remains unfazed as dozens more explosions wipe out the remaining monster hordes in the distance. With the overwhelming assault seemingly finished, a relieved Lin Yukan asks if the war is truly over, but his gaze darkens as he warns them that the decisive battle is only just beginning. His allies can only stare in disbelief, wondering what could be worse than the monster they just witnessed. Just as the players celebrate their victory, another massive explosion signals the arrival of a new enemy. Suddenly, 2 legendary figures, the City Lord and the Archmage, are forced to make their move at blinding speed. From the ramparts, Lin Yukan and the others watch in awe as the city's strongest protectors finally arrive. But her relief turns to dread as she spots a new, organized army emerging from the dust, questioning who these people are. At its head stands a terrifying new enemy, a second, Advancement Peak Great Witch, radiating an aura of pure malice. Subai's expression hardens as he reveals this is the true mastermind behind the entire invasion. The Archmage himself appears beside Subai, warning him to flee immediately before getting caught in a battle beyond his level. Yet Subai just smirks, calmly stating he has no reason to leave now that the show has reached its finale. The mage insists that only he and the City Lord can even hope to contend with this demon, questioning Subai's reckless confidence. But as he turns away, the Archmage finally understands with dawning clarity that nothing can truly be hidden from this mysterious hero. The Great Witch cackles, revealing his insane plot to devour every soul on the battlefield for a godlike third advancement. But the City Lord erupts in a pillar of righteous fire, roaring that he will never let this city fall. Meanwhile, inside the city plaza, utter panic breaks out as players realize they are trapped in a slaughterhouse orchestrated by this madman. As the 2 titans clash above, an official order is issued for all players to evacuate through the city's fully activated teleportation arrays. The Archmage finally understands the horrifying truth. The beast tide was never meant to attack the city, but was merely fuel for the witch's necromantic ritual. Terrified by this revelation, Subai's companions desperately plead with him to escape, insisting a battle of second advancement powerhouses is far beyond their level. But Subai simply turns his back, coldly telling them they are free to leave if they wish. Their fear turns to unshakable resolve as they choose to trust him completely, ready to face their fate by his side. With his allies secured, Subai calmly instructs the city's strongest mage to go aid the struggling lord, taking full command of the battlefield. Far away, the country's top strategy group can only watch the chaos unfold, analyzing the unprecedented power on display. Far from the chaos, the world's #1 player scoffs at the enemy's grandstanding, questioning why he doesn't just end the fight. But on the battlefield, the invading necromancer screams in pure agony as his ultimate ritual suddenly and inexplicably fails. He frantically questions where the thousands of souls he gathered have vanished, while the city's exhausted defenders see a glimmer of hope. Just then, a mysterious silhouette appears before them, mockingly asking if they're curious to know why his plan fell apart. The figure is revealed to be Subai, who points an accusing finger and exposes the necromancer's signature sacrificial formation for all to see. The villain is horrified to discover multiple magic circles now litter the battlefield, formations he never even noticed being placed. Subai coldly confirms it was his doing, a meticulous trap that completely hijacked the enemy's power source right under his nose. The necromancer can only stare back, seething with a rage that contorts his face, realizing he's been utterly outplayed. With a smirk, Subai unleashes his own forbidden art, summoning a colossal undead creature that dwarfs anything seen before. He then channels raw necromantic energy into his fist, taunting the villain that he's about to demonstrate what true mastery looks like. A voice rings out across the battlefield, commanding a powerful entity to finally unleash its true skills, and Subai stands at the center of it all, forcibly gathering the essence of the colossal level 101 Amshet. The enemy necromancer can only watch in absolute horror, screaming that this kind of ritual is completely impossible. He desperately tries to intervene, but is utterly powerless, as Subai's forbidden magic circle consumes the beast's very soul. Meanwhile, it's revealed the necromancer is pinned down, unable to stop Subai as has locked in a desperate battle with the city's defenders. With a confident smirk, Subai declares that since he can't fight personally, he will simply forge a new monster to do it for him. From the swirling chaos, a terrifying new demon is born, its power level skyrocketing to a staggering level 130. Though Subai seems a bit disappointed, he notes that this new creature is more than enough to complete his second advancement. With a single command, he unleashes his new creation upon the enemy, ordering it not to let him down. As the necromancer stares in pure terror, Subai clenches his fist, sealing the monster's bond and the villain's fate. The demon Subai created smashes onto the battlefield, sending the necromancer flying with a single devastating blow. Meanwhile, the city lord and guard captain press their advantage, landing a massive critical hit on their own front. The two powerful defenders share a look of grim satisfaction, confident in their coordinated assault. But all eyes turn back to the horned behemoth as it roars, radiating an aura of absolute power. The necromancer desperately tries a shadow escape technique, only for the monster's fist to shatter his defense completely. He's left frozen in terror, unable to comprehend how a newly born boss can move with such impossible skill. Then, the horrifying truth is revealed as Subai himself cracks his knuckles, channeling his own fighter-class chi into the demon's body. He leaps into the air, preparing to personally pilot the monster with his own legendary martial arts. With a predator's smirk, Subai unleashes a technique not seen in ages: the step punch. The resulting impact is catastrophic, shaking the very ground as the force of the blow connects with its target. Inside the frontline strategy room, the world's strongest fighters debate the battle, questioning how many of these monsters even the legendary Sword Immortal could face. The old master calmly admits that while he fears no one-on-one fight, there is something about this situation that deeply unnerves him. His true concern is Subai's summoned creature, which is currently pulverizing the enemy necromancer with absolute, unrelenting force. Annoyed, he scolds his comrades for their poor eyesight, telling them they are completely blind to the true power on display. He reveals that while the demon is weak on its own, with Subai piloting it, its power has scaled to an impossible new level. Meanwhile, other powerful guild leaders watch in stunned silence, realizing every punch is imbued with inescapable chi that has completely locked the necromancer down. A triumphant smirk spreads across Su Kang's face as his team realizes they've just recruited a player whose potential defies all logic. Back on the battlefield, the necromancer lies broken on the ground, his pride and plans utterly shattered by the demon's onslaught. But in a final, desperate gambit, he grabs the monster's leg and screams, activating a suicidal corpse explosion technique. The city's defenders can only watch in frozen horror, completely stunned by this sudden, self-destructive last stand. The necromancer laughs maniacally, unleashing a final spell designed to destroy half the city, along with everyone in it. But to his utter shock, the city-ending formation fizzles into nothing, leaving him completely baffled. Meanwhile, far away on the city walls, Subai calmly explains that the corpse explosion technique would have been catastrophic. He then smirks, revealing the necromancer's fatal mistake. All the undead souls needed for the explosion had already been absorbed by his own summon. With a cold and confident smile, Subai declares that the battle is finally over. In that instant, the necromancer is bombarded by a series of devastating critical hits, his life force evaporating under an invisible assault. His final moments are filled with pure despair, realizing his perfect plan was dismantled before it even began. Suddenly, the system announces a perfect S-tier mission clear, and his allies can only cheer in awe at Subai's godlike performance. The rewards are so immense that even his party members receive massive bonuses and level up twice just for being there. And across the entire city, every single player receives a system-wide blessing, erupting into cheers for the one man who saved them all, God Su. As the city lord and his captain praise Subai for his incredible feat, His allies can only look on in awe. But suddenly, Subei's expression shifts to one of pure shock. A mysterious call from a being named Guskadon echoes only in his mind, issuing a hidden mission that no one else can perceive. He wonders aloud if his unique Demon King class is the reason he's receiving quests from the world's dark factions. The quest demands he collect an insane 10 million wraiths, a task with rewards so generous it's clear why dark fanatics are drawn to it. Just then, his friends rush over with congratulations and some earth-shattering news. The legendary Li Jianxian wants to meet him. A system message confirms it, adding that the elite frontline strategy group will be accompanying the legend. The name alone sends Lin Yukon into a panic, unable to believe the Sword Immortal himself is on his way. Seizing the opportunity, she desperately asks if her guild can host this monumental meeting, even offering a massive payment for the honor. With a confident smirk, Subei immediately accepts the deal, seeing another perfect chance to profit. News of the Sword Immortal's visit spreads like wildfire, drawing a massive crowd to the Lin trading house. Lin Yukon has already capitalized on the chaos, offering a deal that completely undermines her rival's efforts to poach her members. Watching from a high balcony, Pei Lingshu announces their arrival as Subei finally steps into view. The moment they enter the room, they are greeted by the booming laughter of the legendary figures assembled within. The captain, Su Kang, shakes his hand, telling him there's no need for introductions, as his reputation already precedes him. Subei now finds himself at a table surrounded by the most powerful players in the game, the elite frontline strategy group. Despite the captain's warm welcome, Subei cuts straight to the chase, boldly asking which one of these titans summoned him here. But his arrogance immediately draws a sneer from a stern-faced man, who warns that such pride will lead to his downfall. Su Kang instantly leaps to his defense, shutting the man down as Subei recognizes him as Zhou Wang, the leader of the rival dynasty guild. The tension in the room explodes as the two powerhouses lock eyes, with Su Kang coolly telling his rival to mind his own guild's business. With the tension settled, Pei Lingshui formally invites Subei to join their ranks with an offer so generous it even shocks the captain. But to everyone's utter surprise, Subei calmly rejects the massive proposal, stating an external contract is the most he'll accept. The captain demands a reason, and Subei simply states his desire for freedom, refusing to be tied down by anyone. This catches the attention of another squad leader, who tries to persuade him that their group isn't a prison. The man quickly pitches his own relaxed third squad as the perfect fit, sparking visible annoyance from the other leaders. Suddenly, another captain from the 7th squad interrupts, boasting about their brotherly bond and carefree lifestyle. In an instant, the entire room descends into chaos as every single squad leader begins a frantic bidding war for the rookie king. As the captain loses his temper, Subei has had enough, silencing the room's strongest players with a single command. Just then, a chilling presence fills the room as 3 imposing figures emerge from the shadows, led by a legendary old man. The newcomer, the legendary Li Jianxian, scolds the bickering titans, his mere presence demanding absolute silence and respect. Li Jianxian scolds the brainless idiots for not noticing the main character's complete lack of interest, while Subei simply smirks over his tea. The legendary warrior then shamelessly tries to poach the rookie for his own first squad, drawing the fury of the other captains. But Subei calmly rejects the world's strongest player, confirming his decision is final as the old master respectfully stands down. Immediately, the strategy group's captain cuts in, demanding to know if Subei is truly confident he can continue breaking records in the tower. An official contract with limitless support is put on the table, yet Subei's only concern is how much gold he'll be paid. The captain details an immense offer that even stuns Lin Yukon, promising elite player support for the high-level floors deemed impossible to solo. However, Subei cuts him off, clarifying he was asking about the reward for floors above level 70, where solo clearing is a fantasy. His shocking declaration that he is enough on his own and requires no help sends a wave of disbelief across the faces of the world's strongest players. This unprecedented arrogance finally enrages one of the commanders, who mocks him for being naive enough to look down on all the heroes of the world. The commander insists that even the god of war can't solo those floors, but Subei coolly retorts that just because others have failed doesn't mean he will. Zhou Wang mocks Subei's confidence, demanding to know what happens if his impossible claims fail, but the strategy group captain furiously defends him, baiting the guildmaster into a 100,000 gold bet. Subei calmly interrupts to ask about his own penalty, and Zhou Wang offers him a job in his guild. The captain scoffs at the shameless offer, so Zhou Wang suggests an even more insulting position in a lesser squad. Unimpressed, Subei raises the stakes to a staggering 1 million gold, which the guildmaster immediately accepts. All this time, The world's strongest player has been watching the entire exchange in total silence. Suddenly, the Sword Immortal's voice booms across the room, commanding everyone to leave at once. In an instant, the chamber is empty, leaving only Subai and the world's #1 player alone at the massive table. Li Jianxian gets straight to the point, asking if Subai truly has a method to clear the mythical floor 100. With a calm confirmation, the old master's eyes widen as he demands Subai name his price for this world-shattering secret. Subai shocks the world's strongest player by demanding a secret, mythical reward from floor 100 that only he should know about. He then demands the nation's top blacksmiths to forge his gear, a condition Li Jianxian instantly accepts without a second thought. With the deal struck, Subai reveals a scroll and lays out his audacious plan to dominate the world rankings in just 3 days. The old master grips the scroll, realizing with a jolt that it's the legendary map to the final floor itself. As the world's #1 player departs with his entourage, he leaves Subai with a stern warning to uphold his end of the bargain. Immediately after, Subai turns to the stunned Lin Yukon and makes her an unexpected offer to join his team. She asks what's in it for her, and he makes a monumental promise: to elevate her guild to the #1 spot in the entire nation. But when she points out her guild's existing fame, he clarifies his true goal is to make them the first to ever surpass floor 100. The sheer scale of his ambition shatters her doubts, and she eagerly pledges her absolute loyalty to his cause. Just as he's leaving, she asks about the annual ranking tournament, and he confirms his intent to dominate that as well. On the 40th floor of the Tower of God, a massive explosion rips across the battlefield, where Subai is a blur of motion, single-handedly taking on a horde of enraged, monstrous apes. With a massive firestorm brewing behind him, he prepares to unleash a devastating area of effect spell and summons a chaotic rain of fire from the heavens, engulfing the entire forest in flames. The screen lights up with critical strikes as every single monster is instantly annihilated, and just like that, a world announcement echoes out, declaring Subai has once again shattered a world record. Meanwhile, inside a tavern, other players nervously discuss the global race, feeling their nation is falling hopelessly behind. They point out that the rival Lighthouse Nation has been stuck at 90% progress, proving just how impossible the challenge has become. But just as they're about to give up hope, a sudden update on the leaderboard makes them freeze in disbelief. Their own Yan Nation has suddenly leaped to 91% progress, proving Subai's new alliance is already changing the world. Lin Yukon anxiously questions if their nation can truly surpass their rivals, but Subai calmly declares their victory is already a done deal. She presses him for an explanation, but he simply tells her to wait 3 days for the final result of floor 100. With chilling certainty, he reveals that clearing this floor will do more than win a race. It will usher in a brand new era for the entire world. Then, exactly 3 days later, a world announcement confirms his prophecy as players erupt in celebration over their impossible victory. Lin Yukon stands in utter disbelief as the system announces the world will now connect to the realms of elves, orcs, and goblins. Elsewhere, the tavern lady listens as a dire warning is issued. In this new era of constant war, only the truly powerful will survive. Meanwhile, on the newly conquered 100th floor, the world's #1 player, Li Jianxian, gazes upon the legendary sealed heart of the mountains. He realizes this glowing artifact is the secret treasure Subai had guided them towards, proving the boy's knowledge was absolute. But this is no mere prize. It is the very symbol of humanity's power, and perhaps the key to controlling the Tower of God itself. Just as he reaches for it, a massive, fiery sword strike erupts from nowhere, aimed directly at the most powerful player in the world. The world's #1 player reveals a startling truth. Floor 100 was never the end, but merely a gateway to something more. With newfound excitement, his companion rallies the team to press forward into the unknown. Together, they step through the shimmering light curtain, ready to conquer the world that lies beyond. But instead of a new level, they're thrown back into a familiar city as they realize in shock that the Tower of God is gone. Panic turns to horror as he delivers a chilling correction. They didn't send Earth into the tower absorbed Earth. News reports immediately confirm the chaos, with sightings of dwarves and mermaids proving their world has merged with countless others. He declares that the age of exclusive players is over. From now on, every single human is forced into the game. A world announcement echoes his words, officially plunging Blue Star into a deadly new era where survival depends on strength. Weeks later, humanity's top strategy groups are already preparing for the first multiracial tournament against these new species. And just 5 days after that, the world's nations form a desperate alliance to challenge the 101st floor together. After an intense grind, Subai finds himself on floor 62, questioning how he's only progressed this far. Deciding he's pushed hard enough for now, he He turns to exit the tower through a shimmering portal. But the moment he steps out, Lin Yukan is there to greet him with urgent news about the multiracial tournament. She reveals that the legendary Sword Immortal has been desperately trying to reach him while he was climbing. Hess shocked to find his inbox flooded with over 100 frantic messages from the world's #1 player. The messages are all the same. A furious demand to know why he's wasting time when the world is at stake. Staring up at the twin moons, Subai has a chilling realization that this isn't a game anymore, and his plans must change. Meanwhile, far away in the newly emerged Orc territory, a massive imperial castle stands as a symbol of power. Inside, the young catgirl princess, Gadden Mia, playfully chases a small fairy through the grand halls. Her fun is cut short when a stern guard's shout causes her to trip and fall in the middle of the imperial court. Her father is revealed to be Gadden Joxier, one of the 5 great orc lords, who arrives looking every bit the powerful ruler he is. He immediately scolds his daughter for her childish behavior, furious that a royal princess is chasing lowly fairies. As the guard holds the struggling girl, her mother calmly intervenes, ordering the guard to release her daughter at once. The queen then warns her husband not to be too harsh, ominously mentioning another who ran away and never came back. But the lord's tone turns deadly serious, declaring that with the arrival of the human race, Mia must now enter the multiracial tournament. She's stunned, protesting that she isn't strong enough, but is told every race must now send their best to assert dominance. Mia furiously refuses to go, only for her father to threaten public humiliation and a severe beating if she doesn't enter and win. With the decision made and no room for argument, the young princess is left in tears as her father walks away. Meanwhile, far from this political drama, Subai has reached the 63rd floor of the tower, unleashing a powerful new magic. He casually tests an A-grade water arrow, a lethal and nearly invisible skill perfect for assassination, against a colossal beast. Just as Subai finishes testing his skill, his communicator suddenly starts buzzing with urgent messages, and he groans in annoyance, seeing it's none other than the world's #1 player, Li Jiangxin, spamming him with messages. The old master is bombarding him with intelligence about various races seeking to establish diplomatic ties. But Subai's mind races, remembering from his past life how these alliances are often traps designed to exploit weaker races. He scrolls through the data, noting that while most elves are hostile, the forest elves show goodwill towards humanity, when suddenly, another notification pops up, this one from a mysterious player named Niigata Breath. The message confirms that registration for the 10,000 races competition has closed. With a staggering 500,000 participants in just the Tier 1 area alone, he stares into the night sky, remembering how humanity gained nothing from this competition in his last life, and vowing this time will be different. The day finally arrives, and the competition begins in the breathtaking, floating metropolis of Sky City. And from a grand balcony, the leader of the host race, Azrael of the Skywings, officially welcomes all competitors to the grand tournament. While his companion admires the Skywing leader's beauty, Subai coldly calculates the immense value of her wings, viewing them as a divine artifact to be claimed. Lin Yukan is horrified by his monstrous gaze, but Subai simply remembers how he suppressed the very same impulse in his past life to maintain his reputation. He quickly changes the subject to the status of his custom equipment, only to learn that its complex blueprints have taken over a month just to decipher. A flicker of concern crosses his face as he realizes this critical weapon might not be ready for the upcoming Tier 1 graduation. As an announcer details the brutal competition where only the top 1,000 will survive the preliminaries, he's asked what his target ranking is. His friend guesses top 100, maybe even top 10, but Subai silences her by boldly declaring his intention to seize first place. He explains with chilling conviction that if he can't even dominate this tournament, his dream of conquering the Tower of God is gone. Meanwhile, at a grand banquet, the powerful leaders of other races discuss which of their children will be participating in the bloody competition. A fearsome dragon queen smirks as she recalls a cute cat-eared girl she wants to gobble up, revealing the predatory nature of the other contestants. She then taunts the leader of the giant race, who scoffs that his people would never stoop so low as to snatch food from worthless lower races. The leader of the giant race bristles at being called a brainless musclehead by a demoness who boasts she was born Tier 3. The insults escalate as she dismisses all of humanity as mere monkeys, while a winged woman tries to keep the peace. The winged woman then formally announces the start of the 10,000 races competition, a brutal stage to see which races will rise and which will be crushed. Meanwhile, back on Blue Star, humanity's strongest players gather, with their supposed top player already on display. This very player approaches Subai, attempting to assert his command and telling our hero to just follow orders. But when his subordinate suggests teaching the arrogant Subai a lesson, the captain instantly shuts him down, warning that provoking him means death. Unbeknownst to them, a powerful old man watches from the crowd, intrigued by Subai's unnerving and absolute calm. As the old master and his companion prepare their own entry cards, other participants can barely contain their nerves. With a resounding crack, the entry tokens are activated across the plaza by all the gathered players, and while the other champions declare their start, Subai quietly readies his own pass, his expression revealing he's ready for war. A warrior unleashes a devastating blow from the heavens, shocking the enemy forces with its raw power. The holy light erupts from his hammer, a show of overwhelming force against the monstrous horde. But as the battle rages, a figure streaks across the sky, recognized instantly as the legendary sword immortal, Li Jianxian. With a single command, he summons 10,000 swords from the ground, a technique of absolute annihilation. The enemy forces are instantly impaled, their screams echoing across the battlefield in a symphony of destruction. Humanity's champions cheer at the one-sided slaughter, celebrating the overwhelming power of their strongest fighter. Yet the sword immortal descends not in triumph, but questioning why they would risk their lives for mere dignity. He presses the point, challenging if their pride is truly worth more than their survival against this enemy. The old master then reveals a terrifying truth. They need time, not glory, because despite a massive level advantage, the fight is a struggle. And the other champions confirm the chilling mystery: these low-level dwarves possess impossible casting speed and devastating power that defies all logic. Li Jianxian explains that despite humanity's natural disadvantage, they must prioritize survival above all else, and gives a clear order to the assembled champions. If you can't win, you must run or forfeit. But as the number one fighter in the world leads them forward, their advance is suddenly halted. An overwhelming presence stops the entire group dead in their tracks, followed by a massive explosion of energy that forces the sword immortal to scream a warning. From the fiery smoke, a condescending voice echoes, questioning if they are humans or just apes, and a terrifying warrior from the dreaded Asura clan emerges, inviting them all to die. Even Li Jianxian is stunned, warning everyone that this new enemy is on a completely different level of power. Yet the Asura only smirks, intrigued that such a powerful monkey exists among them, before launching forward with blinding speed. Declaring his intent to taste his new opponent's flesh, the Asura's first strike sends the human players flying in a chaotic, world-shattering blast. But in a desperate move, a lone paladin summons a shield of holy light, attempting to block the overwhelming force. His defense immediately cracks under the immense pressure, as he screams for his comrades to forfeit and escape, and the shield shatters completely, sending the brave warrior hurtling backward in utter defeat. Seeing his allies fall, the sword immortal himself draws his blade, ordering a full retreat as he prepares to face the monster alone. But the Asura warrior only laughs maniacally, relishing the slaughter as he swings his brutal weapon with glee. His attack unleashes a hellish inferno, engulfing the human representatives in a wave of total annihilation. Watching the live feed, a horrified Lin Yukon realizes the human race is being wiped out on the very first day. Moments later, the defeated players reappear in the real world, utterly broken by how a single enemy forced them all to withdraw. Meanwhile, another challenger teleports into the arena, as Subai calmly activates his own power, ready to enter the fray. With a blinding flash, Subai immediately unleashes a volley of deadly projectiles upon entering the arena. He smirks with absolute confidence, knowing his water arrows are impossible for these low-level beasts to evade. The unsuspecting leopardmen are instantly pierced by the lightning-fast assault, their bodies torn apart before they can even react. He effortlessly claims his first kill, dismissing the pathetic creature as no match while his ranking begins to climb. But his senses suddenly flare as he detects a pathetic attempt at a sneak attack from behind. He turns to find a whole pack of beastmen trying to ambush him in completely open terrain. The ferocious creatures lunge forward with bared claws, hoping their numbers can overwhelm the lone human. Subai simply scoffs at their wishful thinking, completely unfazed by their futile charge. In an instant, he summons a devastating lightning storm from above, eradicating the entire horde in a single, overwhelming blast. Their terrified leader can only watch in horror, shouting a desperate warning to his forces as they are completely annihilated. Subai vaults over a lunging beastman, completely unfazed by its desperate roar. Seeing this overwhelming power, the horrified enemy leader screams for his remaining forces to retreat immediately. But Subai coldly asks if he ever gave them permission to leave, trapping the entire squad with a powerful binding spell. He smirks, declaring they will all become his points as he summons an apocalyptic fire spell into his hand. In an instant, a devastating rain of fire descends, turning the battlefield into an inescapable inferno of screams. Meanwhile, high in Sky City, the leaders of various powerful races watch the broadcast of this one-sided slaughter. A horned demon girl scoffs, mockingly admitting that this human monkey actually has some potential. But a goblin analyst notices something far more terrifying, realizing Subai is casting spells without any chanting. The two spectators bicker over the analysis until the goblin defends his expertise as a high-level player. His jaw then drops in utter disbelief, realizing the truth is even worse. The skill has no cooldown, a feat that defies all logic. A winged celestial confirms that the destructive power of his spells is completely unnatural for their rank. Even the Forest Spirit King is stunned, admitting that his own people, masters of the elements, could never achieve such a feat. The entire council of racial leaders can only watch in silence as Subai's one-sided slaughter continues on screen. The angel then explains the terrifying implication. Without cooldowns, even the weakest spells become weapons of mass destruction. While his enemies are forced to chant incantations, he can unleash his entire arsenal instantly, an advantage that only grows over time. The demon girl finally connects the dots, concluding there is only one being who can break the system's laws: the legendary Demon King. Her words trigger a dark memory for the Beastmen leader, who recalls an ancient prophecy about the Demon King unleashing a storm of blood. Confident in her own power, the demon girl volunteers to assassinate this low-level threat before he becomes a real problem. But the angel offers a shocking counter-theory, suggesting only a fabled hero would appear in such an unassuming form. The leaders are left speechless, now forced to question if this player is a harbinger of destruction or the world's last hope. After single-handedly carrying his team, Subai stands amidst the carnage, hailed by his followers as a literal god. They immediately turn to him for their next command, completely reliant on his judgment to survive. But his response is a cold, shocking order that no one could have predicted: forfeit. The players are thrown into chaos, desperately pleading with him to reconsider, reminding him that they are supposed to be teammates. Subai calmly explains that he's about to increase his combat speed, and they simply won't be able to keep up. As their leader reluctantly agrees, the others argue furiously, unwilling to give up this once-a-year opportunity. But their leader knows the truth: they are a liability and would only bring trouble upon themselves by trying to leech off Subai's power. As they depart, the watching crowd erupts, some hailing Subai as their last hope, while others curse the cowards who abandoned him. Finally alone, a predatory smirk crosses his face as he prepares to unleash his true power without anyone holding him back. In a flash of blinding light, he vanishes from sight, moving at a speed so terrifying it fractures the very air around him. One of the remaining players, stunned by Subai's godlike speed, makes the wise choice to forfeit. But another player refuses to back down, furious at being left behind and vowing to chase after him. He clutches his tracker, certain that as long as they're technically on the same team, he can leech the points from Subai's kills. Meanwhile, watching from the outside, the legendary Sword Immortal erupts in fury at the player's foolish greed. He declares that any player who tried to cling to Subai will be permanently expelled from the Guild Alliance, as they beg for mercy. Turning his back on their pleas, he explains that Subai represents something far greater than a simple tournament victory. He warns them that the very survival of the human race is at stake, and their selfish actions threaten to drag everyone down with them. Beside him, a high-ranking official in full battle armor declares their actions treasonous, deserving of life imprisonment. But Subai's display has caught the attention of other races, as the queen of the Skywing race considers recruiting this human prodigy. Elsewhere, another powerful monarch sees a different kind of opportunity, proposing they start a betting pool on just how high this dark horse will climb. The leaders of the major races agree to a high-stakes betting pool, all centered on the human prodigy's final rank. A grizzled clan leader immediately scoffs, wagering a piece of Tier 6 legendary gear that Subai won't even break the top 800. A fiery demoness laughs, throwing in a priceless dragonheart on rank 555 simply because she likes the sound of it. More wagers pour in as two demonic lords bet incredibly rare artifacts, predicting abysmal ranks in the high 800s and 900s. But the Skywing Queen shatters their expectations, betting a forbidden high-tier spellbook on the impossibly high rank of 50th. The other leaders are stunned by her audacity, mocking her for placing such an insane bet on a member of a low-tier race. She calmly explains that whether she wins or loses, her gesture of faith in him will send a powerful message across the realms. Suddenly, the cunning lord of the Gadden court understands her true gambit. She's not just betting, she's trying to win the boy's loyalty. Then she drops a bombshell, declaring that if she wins, all their wagers will be converted into resources for the human race, while her spellbook will go directly to Subai. The other rulers can only stare in fury, realizing she's using their own priceless treasures to poach the human prodigy from right under their noses. The Skywing Queen smirks, declaring to the other rulers that this human boy possesses the unmistakable aura of a hero. And back on the battlefield, Subai proves her right, unleashing a storm of deadly energy across the endless prairie. His attack rockets toward a massive flock of winged enemies descending from the sky. But with a confident grin, he taunts them, offering a final chance to retreat before the slaughter begins. The winged warriors just mock him, launching their own ice spears and arrogantly calling him a source of easy points. Their leader stares down in disbelief, questioning what kind of lowly race could possess such formidable power. Subai simply mirrors their attack, conjuring his own barrage of ice blade spears with terrifying ease. The sky fills with screams as his magic tears through the enemy ranks in a completely one-sided massacre. Despite the victory, he checks the leaderboard only to find himself in 4th place, thousands of points behind the leader. A dangerous smirk forms on his face as he wishes for someone from the top of the leaderboard to show up, seeing them as nothing more than his next source of points. Just as he wished for a real fight, another weak monster appears, leaving Subai utterly disappointed with the level of competition. But suddenly, a lethal attack comes from an unexpected direction, forcing him to react to a threat he never saw coming. With lightning-fast reflexes, he sidesteps a deadly red slash that was meant to instantly end him. His mysterious attacker is left stunned, unable to believe their surefire killing blow completely missed its mark. The assailant is finally revealed, a powerful, demonic warrior from the Asura race, radiating an aura of pure intimidation. Yet instead of fear, Subei's face breaks into a confident grin, realizing the big fish he'd been waiting for has finally arrived. The Asura youngster, Chi Kang, takes his stance, ready to unleash the full might of his clan's deadly techniques. A tense standoff begins as the Asura mocks him, surprised that such a strange monkey could be so interesting. Wasting no time, Subai immediately unleashes a powerful water arrow spell to test his new opponent's defenses. But the Asura effortlessly deflects the magical barrage with his blade, proving he's on a completely different level than all the previous fodder. The Asura warrior smirks, finding Subai's magic merely interesting as he casually blocks it, and he arrogantly declares that Subai is nothing more than a warm-up for his true target. But Subai immediately unleashes a far deadlier spell, summoning a storm of lethal ice blade spears. Suddenly, the overconfident warrior is forced into a desperate retreat, shocked by this new level of power. He spins his blade in a fiery whirlwind, barely managing to defend against the relentless icy assault. Humiliated and enraged, the Asura erupts in flames and draws a second blade, activating his berserk dual-wielding stance. Yet Subai remains completely unfazed, calmly acknowledging that his opponent finally has some real skill. He continues to pepper the charging berserker with spells, perfectly controlling the distance of the fight. The Asura realizes he's been played, stopping just short of a range that would mean certain death and decides to end it now. With a furious roar, he gathers all his power for a single, final slash meant to send Subai straight to hell. The Asura unleashes his ultimate technique, a massive wave of pure destructive fire, but against this overwhelming power, Subai doesn't even flinch, merely noting its strength. His opponent smirks, confident that this attack will obliterate the foolish human. The world explodes in a torrent of flame as the apocalyptic slash seems to swallow Subai whole. For a moment, it looks like he's been incinerated, caught directly in the fiery blast. Yet when the smoke clears, the attack has been split in two, and Subai stands completely untouched. The Asura freezes in disbelief, realizing his ultimate blade skill was shattered by a single punch. Staring at Subei's tranquil blue aura, he's forced to question everything, asking if he is even a mage. His once unstoppable attack dissipates into nothing, leaving him utterly baffled as to how it vanished. Before he can process it, Subai instantly appears behind him, delivering a single, decisive chop to end the fight. The defeated Asura lies broken, unable to comprehend how a mere human could possess such overwhelming power, while Subai smirks as the system confirms his kill, thanking the arrogant warrior for the free delivery of points. With his rank now secured in the top 200, he's satisfied that his plan is perfectly on track. Just as the first round's time limit expires, and a teleportation array activates to recall all the survivors, they are then brought into a massive arena for the second round, surrounded by a roaring crowd, where new rules are announced for the rematch, placing Subai among hulking beastkin who tower over him. He's immediately disgusted by the terrible smell of the pigmen sitting beside him, wondering about his bad luck, but his attention is suddenly pulled away as the crowd gasps at the arrival of a high-profile contestant. On stage appears the Beastkin Princess, a rare genius Subai remembers well from his past life. The pigman next to him cheers obnoxiously, sealing his own fate as Subai decides he'll be the first to go. The 10,000 Races tournament kicks off as the system selects the very first challenger, a deadly player from the Bona race. With chilling confidence, the assassin steps forward and boldly declares his intention to fight 10 challengers at once. Subai watches with a knowing smirk, recognizing the Bona race as a clan of master assassins with unparalleled skill. The system then reveals the battle map for this match will be a dense, unforgiving jungle. Subai realizes the assassin has been given the perfect terrain, a map perfectly suited for his deadly ambush tactics. As other contestants are shown, Subai identifies a hulking Blackhorn dragon warrior, noting his immense power but lack of intelligence. Meanwhile, the cat-kin Princess Gadin Mia watches on, her expression tense and resolute as she prepares for her turn. The obnoxious pigman beside Subai continues to shout his support for the princess, grating on Subai's last nerve. Suddenly, the system announces Subai's name as the next challenger, and his frustration instantly turns into eager anticipation. But the foolish pigman completely misreads the situation, mocking Subai for being so scared he's crying tears of fear. Fed up with the insults, Subai arrogantly challenges everyone in the arena to come at him all at once. The system questions his sanity, asking if he truly wants to fight 100 opponents, but he confirms without a shred of hesitation. This sends the entire crowd into an uproar, as they call him a suicidal maniac who's completely lost his mind. The obnoxious pigman eagerly joins the fray, believing this is a golden opportunity for an effortless victory. With a staggering 133 combatants confirmed, the system teleports Subai to a vast prairie to begin the slaughter. He stretches out, overjoyed to finally be free from the annoying pig and relish the open battlefield. But his opponents quickly surround him, mocking his foolishness and promising to grant him a quick death for the easy win. As the final countdown begins, a confident smirk spreads across Subai's face as he prepares to show them true power. He immediately unleashes a devastating adhesion technique, firing a volley of lethal water rockets at the charging horde. The razor-sharp projectiles tear through their ranks, stunning the foolish mob who now realize they've just walked into a death trap. Without missing a beat, Subai unleashes a second devastating spell, calling down a chaotic fire rain upon the battlefield. The horde is instantly incinerated, screaming in agony as they question how one player could possess such impossibly immense magic power. A desperate survivor tries to rally the others, urging them to form a defensive line and unite against this monster. They hastily erect a massive magical shield, pooling their remaining power to withstand the onslaught. But Subai simply cuts right through their formation, appearing before the terrified pigman in a flash of lightning. The remaining players scream in terror, desperately trying to intercept him before it's too late. He coldly declares their efforts are futile while conjuring a deadly lightning spear with absolute ease. Simultaneously, a volley of lethal water spears rains down from another angle, showcasing his terrifying multi-elemental mastery. The cornered pigman retaliates with a powerful light sword slash, trying to overwhelm Subai with his own skills. Yet Subai effortlessly deflects every single attack with his superior sword aura, turning their desperate assault into a complete joke. The pigman's desperate attack is utterly annihilated in a blinding flash of light. Meanwhile, the tournament's powerful spectators are left speechless, unable to comprehend how he dismantled all their magic skills. One leader points out his speed, and stats are impossible for a Tier 1 player, questioning if has a lich in disguise. Another agrees, noting that only a 1,000-year-old demon could possess a player's body with such overwhelming force. But the elegant Skywing Queen immediately declares that theory is impossible. She explains his flawless combat and fluid martial arts are far beyond what a shadowy lich could ever achieve. This leads them to an even more terrifying conclusion. The legendary Demon King himself might have returned to usher in a new era of blood. The demon girl, however, is simply thrilled, giddy at the thought of witnessing a true hero in her time. Back in the arena, Subai's counterattack erupts with devastating force, ending the pathetic exchange. He coldly announces he's done playing and unleashes a barrage of water arrows, ready to finish this for good. His enemies panic, questioning his impossible stats and seemingly endless magic. But Subai gives them no time to think, launching another relentless volley of water arrows. Their desperate defenses are instantly shattered by the sheer, overwhelming power of his assault. He leaps into the air, calmly inviting them to enjoy this feast of magical destruction. In a last-ditch effort, a rider on a demonic beast charges forward, hoping to strike him down. Subai simply meets the charge mid-air with a devastating full moon slash from his blade. The attack connects perfectly, sending them spiraling away in a completely one-sided exchange. Before even landing, he switches tactics again, casting an earth spell to trap the rest. A massive stone wall erupts from the ground, forming an inescapable prison around the terrified survivors. When the dust settles, the arena is silent, with nothing left but the glowing loot of his defeated foes. Faced with a power they can't comprehend, the remaining challengers surrender, admitting that fighting a monster like Subai is better than dying for nothing. A system announcement declares a mass surrender, ending the first round in a shockingly one-sided victory for the lone player. But just as he celebrates, back in the real world, citizens stare up in horror as massive, dark objects descend from the sky. These are not meteorites, but warships, teeming with monstrous beings from other worlds, an armada of demons, orcs, and insectoids. Panic erupts on the streets as humanity realizes this is an invasion by foreign races. Meanwhile, high in the strategy team's headquarters, the world's leaders are already in crisis mode under an ominously dark sky. An urgent report confirms dozens of powerful racial auras have appeared above their planet in a blatant show of force against the human race. One of the top warriors erupts in rage, ready to fight them head-on, but is warned that any aggression would be a fatal mistake. He turns to the world's strongest player, Li Jianxian, demanding a decision before they are all annihilated. But the old master can only clench his fists in fury, realizing this is all a threat to force Subai out of the tournament, leaving him completely powerless to protect his junior. Li Jianxian erupts in defiance, declaring that the human race will never bow down, even if it means total war. Meanwhile, high in the Skywing grandstands, powerful leaders discuss the dirty tricks being used to threaten the humans. A debate breaks out on whether to help, with one elder arguing that interfering will only hinder their hero's growth. They conclude that the more pressure humanity faces, the more brilliantly Subai will rise against the current. Suddenly, their conversation stops as the very man at the center of this galactic crisis finally makes his appearance. Down in the square, the Beastkin princess rages at her cheating opponents while Subai stands by her, utterly unfazed. He knows this world is no longer a game, but a brutal reality where the strong prey on the weak. A menacing aura surrounds him as he decides that if his enemies want to fight dirty, he has no reason to show any mercy. He calmly promises the princess his aid, casually remarking he'll go easy on her in the finals. But his comment sends a wave of panic through the crowd, who are certain he just gravely offended the Beastkin royalty. As the system selects him as the first challenger, Subai smirks and dares every single player to come at him at once. His insane declaration shocks the crowd, even prompting the Beastkin princess to comically yell for him to save some enemies for her. But the system confirms the impossible odds, as 125 players are instantly warped into the arena to face him down. They all materialize in a desolate gladiator arena, where Subai stands completely unfazed in the center. Before they can even move, a massive, complex magic array erupts from the ground, trapping everyone inside. He then reveals his true weapon, a perfect grade staff embedded with countless magic stones, capable of unleashing elemental hell. With a single command, he channels his energy, amplifying his magic power by a staggering 10 times. Instantly, a bone-chilling frost sweeps across the arena, freezing the very ground they stand on. His opponents find themselves paralyzed, their movements and minds slowed as they finally grasp the terrifying gap in their power. Driven by sheer desperation, the remaining warriors charge forward as one, hoping their numbers can somehow overwhelm this monster. Subai unleashes a devastating pillar of fire, incinerating his desperate foes as their screams echo through the arena. He casually crouches amidst the inferno, noting that his own protective shields are barely scratched by the apocalyptic fire rain. With a powerful leap, he unleashes the spell's full 10-fold power, turning the entire battlefield into a sea of flames. Standing over the ashes of his enemies, he coldly declares that anyone who dares threaten his race will meet the same grim fate. Meanwhile, in the grandstands, the powerful spectators are stunned, with one demon princess clapping in delight at his decisive cruelty. But the king of the ocean elves criticizes his brutality, only to be sharply reminded that Subai was defending his race against those who threatened him first. The debate ends with a dismissive scoff, as the powerful beings realize this human is unlike any hero they have ever seen. Back in the arena, his next opponent, the cat girl Mia, runs up to him, eager to begin their fight while he stands completely unfazed. Brushing off her concerns about him being tired, he offers her the choice of any map, uninterested in a simple game of hide-and-seek. He confidently agrees to a closed arena, and the system immediately confirms the map as the final tournament match is set to begin. Mia empties her bag, revealing a shocking arsenal of epic-grade equipment for the final fight. With the match officially underway in the grim arena, the two opponents take their positions. Subai realizes he can't hold back, admitting her gear is so powerful he might actually lose. But before he can even react, she vanishes in a blur of motion, her speed completely overwhelming. Forced on the defensive, He immediately fires off a series of water rockets to try and find her hidden position. He's forced to admit her cat-like agility is on another level as her own projectiles streak through the air. A relentless barrage of attacks rains down on him from the darkness, keeping him completely off balance. Suddenly, she reappears directly behind him, crackling with energy, as she lunges for a decisive strike. Yet at the last possible second, he counters by transforming his staff into a massive longsword, perfectly blocking her assault. Completely stunned that his weapon changed forms, she can only watch as he promises to finally reveal his true strength. The final tournament battle begins as Subai and the Catgirl Princess clash with blinding speed. Unfazed by his power, she grins and taunts him to bring everything he's got. She unleashes a whirlwind of agile kicks and flips, forcing him to desperately block her relentless assault. Their blades lock once more, and she can't help but be impressed by his unexpected strength. After a lightning-fast exchange, she's forced to parry a flurry of strikes that nearly overwhelm her defenses. Taking a moment to breathe, she admits his martial arts skills are far greater than she ever anticipated. But Subai warns her that instincts can be deceiving as he leaps from the shadows for a decisive blow. A massive golden sword slash descends upon her, yet she defiantly screams that her power is on another level entirely. He lands and questions her resolve, only to see her begin to glow with a menacing purple energy. With a furious roar, she unleashes a terrifying berserk power, forcing Subai to wonder what kind of monster he's truly facing. Unleashing her berserk power, she lands a devastating kick that sends him flying. The sheer force of the blow sends him skidding back, blood spewing from his mouth. But she's far from finished, lunging forward with a feral cry for another relentless attack. He braces for impact, realizing this is just a warm-up for her royal bloodline's true power. Meanwhile, high above the arena, powerful rulers watch on, debating how long the girl can maintain this genius-level state. One spectator coldly calculates the odds, noting that only 1% of her race can push this power past 30 minutes. Back in the fight, Subai grits his teeth, knowing that at this rate, he'll be defeated in an instant. So he changes tactics, igniting his fist with flaming chi to meet her charge head-on. Their blows connect with incredible force, but he's shocked by how impossibly tough she is. Then he finally understands the truth: her gauntlets are a broken item, absorbing his power and making her untouchable. Forced to change tactics, Subai decides to cast elemental skills and throw punches at the same time. His water arrows connect, dealing damage but failing to stop her relentless assault. Smirking, she activates her bloodline's berserk mode, demanding to see what other trump cards he's hiding. She blitzes forward with blinding speed, sending him flying across the arena with a single, devastating blow. But Subai casually heals himself, musing that it's been so long he almost forgot he had such a skill. Meanwhile, the spectators believe the match is decided, though the Skywing Queen senses it's not that simple. He rises from the dust, declaring that he's done going easy on her for the crowd's entertainment. Then he unleashes a massive vacuum slash, a technique that completely dwarfs his previous attacks. The powerful sword waves crash into her, but she scoffs that it won't be enough to cause any real harm. Suddenly, her smug expression shatters as she realizes some of the slashes are impossibly stronger than the others. He unleashes a devastating combination of skills, tearing the entire arena apart with waves of pure energy. The secret is revealed. His vacuum slash has a chance to deal quadruple damage, a terrifying gamble that paid off. Overwhelmed by the unpredictable power spikes, the proud princess can only scream in denial as her defense shatters. But with a final burst of speed, she breaks through the storm of blades and manages to grab hold of him. Subai simply looks down, unleashing a crushing force that tells her the fight was over before it began. Pinned to the ground and trembling under the immense pressure, she finally understands the gap in their power. With her pride completely broken, the genius princess has no choice but to raise her hand and surrender. Meanwhile, back in the human capital, the leadership erupts in cheers as the system announces his victory for their entire race. The news spreads like wildfire through the streets, with crowds of people chanting the name of their new hero, God Su. A wave of euphoria washes over the city, as his victory proves to the world that humanity is the strongest. The streets erupt with chants for God Su, as humanity's pride is restored by their new champion. Meanwhile, back at the arena, Subai stands alone on the victor's podium, officially crowned the strongest. The system announces the champion's rewards, granting him a mysterious artifact that completely eclipses the runner-up's prize. This reward unleashes an insane flood of S-rank skills and legendary treasures, a haul beyond anyone's wildest dreams. But his celebration is cut short, as he suddenly spots an imposing figure approaching from the stands. It's the father of the princess he just defeated, dragging his own daughter forward in utter humiliation. The crowd gasps in terror, realizing that the absolute kings of the various races have personally descended upon the arena. The radiant Skywing Queen steps forward, singling him out from the crowd and calling him humanity's hero. Unfazed by her overwhelming presence, Subai coolly asks what business a ruler of her stature has with him. Before she can answer, her demonic attendant gets uncomfortably close, sniffing him to confirm he's truly human and not some monster in disguise. Subai realizes he's been careless, suspecting the rulers knew he was more than human from the very beginning. But the Skywing Queen simply invites him for a private word, and with his power still concealed, he agrees to her request. His acceptance sends a shockwave through the crowd, who can't believe one of the great lords is personally hosting the rookie champion. A moment later, they arrive at the breathtaking Skywing residence, a city floating among the clouds that displays their immense power and wealth. Inside a colossal library filled with ancient knowledge, Subai can't help but feel the overwhelming aura, a perfect environment for a demon king to thrive. He is then led to a grand hall where a lavish feast has been prepared, a formal meeting between him and the most powerful beings in the tower. The queen tests him by offering a rare soup that boosts mental power, and he instantly identifies it, proving his knowledge is far beyond his level. Getting straight to the point, Subai sits down and demands to know the real reason he was brought here among the kings of the world. The queen's expression turns deadly serious as she finally reveals the truth. A world boss is about to spawn, and its location is his home planet, Blue Star. The shocking news hits Subai like a thunderbolt, as he realizes this event will trigger a catastrophic war between all races right on humanity's doorstep. The other leaders praise Subai's heroic nature, assuring him that a boss spawning on his homeworld shouldn't be too high level. The powerful Orc Lord then makes a bold promise, vowing to take responsibility for Blue Star's safety if the threat proves too great. Seizing the moment, the Skywing Queen formally invites humanity to join their grand alliance, an offer Subai accepts without hesitation. She then reveals her true plan, converting her winnings from their bet into a massive hoard of resources to support his fledgling race. The stunning generosity makes Subai realize they must have known his identity from the very beginning of the tournament. He humbly accepts the aid, and the queen promises the resources will be delivered within 3 days. But the support doesn't end there, as the Orc Lord pledges his own wave of supplies as a gesture of friendship. Inspired by the display, the other powerful races all declare their intent to contribute, creating an unbelievable cascade of support. Even the Dwarven King, who started the bet, proudly joins in, proclaiming his faith in the young hero. Just as the meeting concludes, the Skywing Queen stops him, presenting one final, mysterious gift that glows with immense power. The Skywing Queen gifts Subai a forbidden high-tier curse, a power he can't yet comprehend but accepts with a knowing smile. The very next day, he finally returns to his base of operations in Rim City, ready to claim the rewards of his victory. He's immediately greeted by Lin Yukon, who eagerly asks about his spoils from the legendary tournament. But nothing could have prepared her for the sight of an entire hall filled to the brim with golden treasure chests, a reward of unimaginable scale. The sheer pressure of the potential loot is too much for her to handle, and she begs Subai to open them himself while he eagerly prepares for the haul. As Subai begins his marathon of chest opening, a constant stream of system notifications confirms their insane luck. The rewards are beyond belief, with perfect-grade equipment and rare materials flooding his inventory and even triggering a full-set bonus. Half an hour later, the floor is littered with empty chests, and Subai casually orders the mountain of new materials to be moved to his warehouse. As a bonus for her hard work, he generously gifts Lin Yukon a perfect-grade crafting material, leaving her speechless with gratitude. But just as they celebrate, a dark, ancient voice cuts through the air, a self-proclaimed scion of the Demon King demanding a terrifying meeting with our hero. Subai is suddenly pulled into a cosmic void, left to wonder how the Tower of Gods grows by consuming entire worlds. Before him materializes a terrifying demonic figure sitting upon a throne of crimson energy, who asks if the sight is beautiful. This entity reveals himself as Guskidan, the Lord of the Scourge, who has personally summoned the scion of the Demon King. Unfazed, Subai questions the purpose of this meeting, feigning ignorance of the Demon Lord's intentions. But Guskidan simply reassures him, knowing his true identity as a hero, and promising that he will not be harmed. Subai is internally shaken, realizing this powerful being somehow knows his most guarded secret, and wonders if there's a traitor among the kings. The Demon Lord then delivers a cryptic prophecy, explaining that both heroes and demon kings are anomalies born from the tower, and anomalies are exactly what they need. He then makes a shocking declaration, stating that despite their opposing titles, they are not enemies, but allies. A smirk crosses Subai's face as he realizes this isn't Guskidan's real body but a mere projection, seeing a golden opportunity to milk the situation for all it's worth. Without hesitation, he boldly demands double the quest rewards, an offer the Demon Lord immediately accepts. Pushing his luck, Subai forces the Demon Lord's hand, who surprisingly agrees to triple the rewards to secure their deal. The quest rewards instantly update, revealing the Lord of the Scourge had planned this alliance from the very beginning. But with the pact sealed, Subai is unceremoniously ejected, sent plummeting back through a blinding portal. He lands hard on his own bed, the whiplash from another dimension leaving him completely stunned. Annoyed at being summoned and dismissed like a tool, he vows to demand 10 times the price for his help next time. Just then, Lin Yukon appears, explaining he had collapsed from exhaustion right after his return. 2 months pass, and the entire world is thrown into chaos as the beginner zones open, turning every citizen into a player. While the world's strongest player, the Sword Immortal, leads a massive raid team to clear a high-level floor, Subai shatters all expectations by soloing the legendary 100th floor, setting a record that may never be broken. This unprecedented feat sends shockwaves through the world's high command, forcing them to accelerate their plans for an impending global threat. In a high-level meeting, the world's strongest player warns that Subai's early negotiation was the only thing preventing catastrophic war. He then reveals the shocking truth. The world's high command only intervened because of Subai's overwhelming influence. Meanwhile, on the South Sea coast, warriors from the Rhine Lion race grumble about a new combat ban, blaming it all on a single human player. Just then, their target appears in the distance, the very man who has disrupted all of their plans. Though his dark elf ally warns of the human strength, the lion leader scoffs, seeing only a low-level target perfect for a warm-up. But Subai is completely unfazed, smirking as he realizes this is the perfect chance to test out his newly acquired skills. Suddenly, a world announcement shatters the tension. A Tier 2 world boss has spawned, and the race to kill it has officially begun. Before the fight can even start, a world-altering force begins to eject all players who aren't Tier 2, teleporting them away against their will. The arrogant lion leader is dragged away screaming, ordering his remaining allies to teach the human a lesson he'll never forget. Left alone on the battlefield, Subai declares that the time for holding back is over, ready to face the world boss completely unrestrained. As the worldwide hunt begins, a powerful player unleashes a devastating chaotic fire rain. Back on the coast, the remaining lion warriors can only scream in disbelief, thinking Subai is completely insane. But our hero simply smirks, promising to show these unwelcome guests some proper hospitality. Suddenly, the Dark Elves make their move, declaring they'll be collecting a price for this interruption. Before they can even act, a torrent of magical arrows rains down from the sky, shredding their ranks. Subai coldly explains he's just collecting a little interest, warning them he's holding back for the leaderboard. His threat is cut short as the true enemy finally erupts from the waves, the Tier 2 elite, Gaping Maw Dragon. Meanwhile, another top-tier player joins the battle, firing a massive Holy Light Exorcism bullet. The attack connects in a blinding, fiery explosion that rocks the entire battlefield. Yet even this incredible power isn't enough. As the player grimly notes, this fight will be a hassle without his upgraded skills. Other players are left reeling in shock as the battlefield itself warps into a swamp filled with ensnaring vines. But Subai just smirks, casually adding his own fiery summons to the chaos and drawing the ire of his rivals. Deciding this prolonged fight is simply boring, he resolves to end things on his own terms. With a single stomp, he shatters the very earth beneath him, channeling immense power into a massive magic circle. He then rises up on a newly formed pillar of rock, taking a commanding position over the entire arena. Suddenly, he unleashes his ultimate skill, filling the sky with countless magic circles to call down a chaotic fire rain. Amidst the world-ending destruction he caused, he nonchalantly wishes he had some food and drinks. A quick glance at the leaderboard confirms he's taken first place, though he notes the high-tier races are still close behind. Meanwhile, the powerful Rhine Lion race fumes over his interference, with one warrior claiming they owe their score to Subai's chaos. But their leader isn't having it. Vowing that as a token of gratitude, Hell makes sure to leave Subai's corpse intact when he finally kills him. Subai sits calmly on a cliff's edge, his score dwarfing everyone else's as the second wave of monsters approaches. But despite his overwhelming lead, he believes the gap is still far too small. So he stands high above the battlefield and openly mocks the powerful Rhine Lion race, calling them a bunch of losers. Their enraged captain is barely held back by his subordinate, who warns him it's a blatant provocation. Before the lions can act, the captain of the rival Shura race suddenly steps in, declaring he has his own score to settle with them. Subai smirks from above, mocking the new challenger for daring to step up when he wasn't even the target. As the enraged Shura warriors leap to attack, a magic circle forms in his hand. They took the bait perfectly. The Shura captain freezes in shock, realizing with horror that he's been trapped by this kind of magic once again. Hez helplessly thrown through the air by an unseen force while cursing Subai's cheap tricks. With his true target now immobilized, Subai gathers immense power, his eyes glowing as he prepares to deliver the final blow. Subai's aura erupts into a colossal blue giant, dwarfing his enemies who can only stare in horror. He unleashes his giant god form, a skill that's far too late for anyone to escape. A devastating shockwave rips through the battlefield, instantly vaporizing anyone caught in its path. Standing in the crater he created, Subai laughs at how useful this scammed Demon King skill truly is. The once arrogant Shura captain lies defeated, unable to comprehend the absolute gap in their power. With a single, brutal stomp, Subai crushes the life out of him without a shred of mercy. He then turns his attention to the fleeing survivors, mocking them for being lucky enough to escape his wrath. Meanwhile, the line captain can only watch from afar, vowing that Subai's arrogance will turn the entire world against him. But Subai couldn't care less, casually noting he just wiped out over 100 players in an instant. To secure his lead, he summons a horrifying blood-sucking siren from the depths, ready to farm even more points. Subai's colossal energy form towers over the battlefield, drawing the aggro of countless sirens as rival players pray for his downfall. He channels an immense surge of power through his avatar, letting out a deafening roar that shakes the very ocean. In response, a horrifying, multi-eyed sea monster erupts from the depths, its gaping maw ready to devour him whole. But it's not just one. An entire swarm of these abominations converges on him, turning the sea into a chaotic death zone. After the second wave, the leaderboard confirms his dominance, showing a massive point gap as he casually considers hunting down even more players. He then launches a direct assault on another high-ranking alien, mocking the trash as he dives in for the kill. By the end of the 9th wave, his kill count has exploded to an untouchable 1.3 million points, and surrounded by his undead army, he senses the final stage is about to begin. Suddenly, the system offers him an out. Cash in his points for legendary gear or risk it all in the final battle for humanity's future. Faced with this ultimate choice, a confident smirk spreads across his face, revealing he has no intention of playing it safe. Calling it a gamble he's already all in on, he unhesitatingly chooses to enter the final battle, risking everything for the ultimate prize. Subai watches as the Machina race cashes out their points, choosing calculated safety over the final battle. But in that instant, a terrifying presence descends upon the battlefield in a torrent of raw energy. The celebrating Machina players are suddenly erased from existence, screaming as they vanish into nothing. Subai recognizes this horrifying power with dread. It's the Time Vagrant, an entity that hunts down cowards. Knowing there's no escape, he unleashes his undead army and charges headfirst into the fray. But his new opponents are on a completely different level, like an elven warrior who finds her defenses shattered by an unblockable blade. Nearby, a siren of the seas is helplessly skewered by a volley of arcane needles. Even a hulking brawler finds himself completely defenseless against the relentless magical barrage. The swift elven swordswoman desperately dodges a storm of phantom slashes, already taking damage from the assault. And a ferocious demonkin can only roar in agony as he's torn apart, revealing the overwhelming power of this final wave. Pushed to his absolute limit, the last demonkin player roars that he can't take it anymore. Suddenly, a colossal, golden sea serpent erupts from the waves, presenting a new terrifying threat. Its massive jaws open wide, preparing to swallow its prey in a single, devastating bite. But as its mouth snaps shut, it finds absolutely nothing there. A phantom attack on an enemy that doesn't exist. Watching from the shore, Subai recognizes this as the same deadly trap that wiped everyone out in his past life. He then sees his old rival Ian running right towards him, realizing this is the perfect chance to settle their score. The desperate lion man screams for Subai to save him as he's torn apart by invisible blades. But instead of help, has met by Subai's cold gaze, who calls him an idiot for delivering himself right to his doorstep. Even the giant sea serpent cries out in agony, taking damage from phantom daggers that never even seem to hit it. Remembering this battle was a total wipeout, Subai ignores the chaos, knowing these are just shadows, and he must find the caster's true body. Subai's eyes narrow as he finally identifies his foe as the Time Vagrant, a being who can manipulate time itself. With a triumphant shout, he begins shattering the very space around him, having figured out the perfect counter. But his plan is interrupted as two colossal skeleton guardians materialize from nowhere, attempting to crush him instantly. Yet Subai just laughs maniacally, forming a magic circle that effortlessly nullifies the storm of phantom daggers. Watching from the water, a mystified siren can't believe her eyes, unable to comprehend how he's defending against an impossible attack. The battlefield is so terrifying that even a powerful sea monster begs Subai for a contract, offering him everything it owns just for protection. Meanwhile, in a distant throne room, the Catgirl princess asks her father how Subai is destroying blades by striking at empty air. The powerful orc lord can only stare in silent confusion, confirming that Subai is indeed attacking nothing at all. Suddenly, his eyes fly open as he deciphers the genius strategy. The daggers are just after images, and Subai is striking where the real body used to be. The princess erupts in excitement, realizing the true body is exposed, and cheering for Subai to kill the coward hiding in the dark. The sirens and their guardian look on in terror, desperately calling out Subai's name as he stands alone on the shore. But Subai coldly informs them that he's not just here to kill the world boss, hinting at a much darker purpose. The sea monster lets out one final, desperate plea, begging him to act before it's too late. Suddenly, a storm of shadow spikes erupts from nowhere, impaling the beast as the sirens watch in utter horror. Subai simply mocks their screams, questioning why he should save invaders who trespassed on his land. He tells them to have some dignity in their delusions before finally springing into action himself. Because a far greater threat, a colossal shadow demon, erupts from the ocean, revealing the true enemy. Realizing the creature is just a distraction, Subai decides he'll have to lure the real mastermind out personally. He instantly unleashes his forbidden power, summoning the dead to rise and fight by his side. Standing with his undead mages, he prepares a cataclysmic firestorm, declaring he will blast the cowardly shadow out of hiding. With a confident grin, Subai unleashes a devastating meteor shower, believing he's cornered his hidden foe. But his victory is short-lived as he realizes the shadow has slipped past his attack and is now even faster on land. A smirk crosses his face as he reveals this was all part of the plan to lure the creature into his real trap. He raises his staff, channeling an immense amount of energy for his next move. The beach erupts in a double explosion, landing critical hits but also sending him flying back from the force. His own undead army is torn apart by a barrage of shadowy spikes, showing the enemy's relentless assault. Desperately chugging a potion, he searches for the enemy who remains completely hidden from sight. The invisible assailant continues its attack, riddling him with critical strikes as he tries to evade. Then, a flicker of movement catches his eye, and with a flash of insight, he finally pinpoints his target. With the enemy located, he activates an S-rank skill, preparing to unleash a soul-shattering detonation to end it all. With a final roar, he unleashes a towering inferno, a desperate gambit to force the hidden enemy out of the shadows. The massive blast finally reveals a flicker in the sky, and Subai's eyes lock onto his target at last. A second, even more powerful explosion erupts as his S-rank skill makes direct, devastating contact. The hidden assailant screeches in agony as its form dissolves into black smoke, plummeting from the sky. He watches calmly as the defeated creature's remains crash into the churning ocean waves. This was all thanks to his ultimate move, the Soul Detonation, an attack designed to obliterate any foe completely. The very ocean itself seemed to scream, as the final remnants of its soul were utterly annihilated in a cataclysmic blast. Standing over the fading essence of his enemy, he scoffs, realizing it was only hiding because it was pathetically weak. But the victory drops a reward beyond his wildest dreams. A Time Rule Shard, a legendary item he's never seen before. His eyes widen in shock as he realizes this isn't just a reward, it's a treasure that grants mastery over the laws of time itself. Subai scoffs as the last of the rival players flee, warning them that next time, he'll teach them a lesson in manners. He justifies his ruthless actions, declaring that since the other races broke the rules to invade his territory, they deserve no mercy. His victory triggers a system-wide announcement, granting a massive blessing to all players from his world and sparking a global celebration. Back in Windreach City, even the legendary Sword Immortal erupts in celebration, stunned by Subai's unbelievable accomplishment. The frontline strategy group immediately seizes this chance, declaring a nationwide sprint to leverage the powerful new buffs Subai secured. Inspired, the human leaders rally their forces, vowing that not a single person will be left behind in this new era of power. But elsewhere, the defeated Rhine Lion race seethes with fury, plotting a racial war to wipe out the low-tier humans who defied them. Another powerful faction mocks humanity's temporary victory, confident that even a single mid-tier warrior could annihilate them completely. Meanwhile, the hero of the hour dismisses all praise and invitations, choosing to isolate himself for a few days of rest. Alone in his room, he finally examines his true reward, the Time Rule Shard, and wonders how to wield this power that can bend reality itself. As Subai activates the Time Rule Shard, its reality-bending power violently erupts around his hand. He's instantly pulled into a strange time tunnel, where he sees what appears to be his own shadow racing ahead. With all his might, He desperately reaches out, refusing to believe he can't catch this phantom version of himself. But the gap only widens, forcing him to question if he's trapped in some kind of endless, closed loop. He can only watch in frustration as the figure gets further and further away, seemingly lost to the flow of time. But then, the entire tunnel shudders as time itself inexplicably begins to flow backward. Suddenly, his own shadow is now hurtling directly towards him at an impossible speed. Before he can react, it grabs him from behind, and the perspective instantly flips. In that moment, a mind-shattering truth dawns on him: he is the shadow he was chasing. Snapping back to reality in his room, he realizes he has just experienced the legendary river of time firsthand. He's stunned to realize that what felt like an eternity was merely 5 seconds in the real world, confirming the river of time operates on a different plane of existence. A system notification suddenly confirms his breakthrough, granting him a legendary authority-type talent skill that pushes him one step closer to the transcendental realm. He immediately understands the terrifying implication of this power: the ability to attack an enemy's past self, guaranteeing no opponent, no matter how fast, can ever dodge him again. Meanwhile, at the entrance to Grim City, a group of players are extorting everyone, claiming the dungeon as their private property and treating all others like trash. The thugs arrogantly mock a lone warrior, daring him to even try fighting back against their blockade. Onlookers whisper that because this guild holds the dungeon record, they've been hogging it for themselves and bleeding every other player dry with outrageous fees. The tension finally boils over as a blindfolded warrior erupts in fury, declaring that not a single one of the gatekeepers is a good person. Drawing his massive blade, he issues a chilling threat that once his people reach Tier 4, a full-blown racial war will begin. But just as the conflict is about to explode, a calm voice cuts through the chaos, questioning their bold declaration. Subai steps forward with his companions, confidently telling the aggressors that if they're so eager for a war, they can start with him right now. The thugs sneer, dropping the name of a powerful lord as they demand a toll from Subai. His companion quickly explains their opponent is a Tier 4 tribal prince and a recent tournament champion, raising the stakes immensely. But instead of backing down, Subai throws them a bag of gold, telling them to deliver a message to their master. He declares with a cold smirk that this dungeon's record now belongs to Blue Star. The clueless gatekeepers simply mock his group's posturing, completely unaware of the deadly mistake they just made. Meanwhile, Subai's real mission takes him to the fiery heart of Grail City, the dwarven capital of forged steel. He arrives at his destination, a seemingly ordinary blacksmith shop nestled in the rock. After calling for the boss, he's told to leave, but Subai knows exactly how to get their attention. A tough-looking dwarven girl with a massive hammer emerges, clearly annoyed and asking if he's looking for a beating. He greets her as Sarah, but she has no memory of ever meeting him, hinting at a deep connection from his past life. She furiously accuses him of messing with her, but Subai calmly claims this is their first meeting. He reveals he's here to have a weapon forged, though she immediately mocks the seemingly idiotic design he presents. She demands to see the materials for such a project, but he simply smiles, knowing he has her right where he wants her. He then dumps out a pile of priceless Tier 2 materials, leaving her completely stunned by his unimaginable wealth. Yet even with this treasure on the line, she stubbornly refuses, insisting she only hammers iron, not forges weapons. But Subai plays his trump card, casually revealing her secret identity as Sarah Grail, the future city lord. Utterly shocked, she demands to know how a total stranger could possess such deeply hidden information. He then makes an impossible offer, promising to secure her the title of City Lord and the legendary Azure Flame True Iron. He continues, revealing he even knows the city originally belonged to her ancestors, a fact that shakes her to the core. Suddenly, a title appears above his head, and realizing she's speaking to the Lord Hero, her attitude completely changes as she eagerly asks to finally talk business. On floor 101 of the tower, the frontline strategy group executes a flawless, coordinated assault. Pei Lingsui leads the charge, unleashing her devastating falling wind spear technique to decimate the enemy ranks. Her swordsmen surge forward, effortlessly breaking the monster's formation as instructed. Meanwhile, the mages in the backline rain down a storm of overwhelming critical damage. With one final, decisive strike, the last enemy is completely obliterated from existence. The team erupts in celebration, knowing this record-breaking clear was only possible thanks to Subai's divine guidance. Pei Lingshu can only marvel at the man who seems more like a god of strategy than a player. Back at headquarters, she presents Su Kang with Subai's unbelievable gift, a complete guide for the next 100 floors. The captain realizes their path to the top has been paved by a genius, and now it's up to them to walk it. But just as they plan their future, a sudden world announcement leaves Pei Lingshui utterly stunned. The world announcement declares that another Blue Star player, the legendary Sword Immortal, has just shattered the record for the 121st floor, throwing the human player base into a state of wild celebration. Riding this wave of momentum, Pei Linksui rallies her own squad, declaring that with Subai's guidance, all remaining records will soon fall before them. But their absolute dominance has a price, as a secret council of rival races gathers to complain about the crippling dungeon fees the humans have imposed. One of the holographic leaders coldly shuts them down, claiming they have no one to blame but themselves for this predicament. A demon-kin girl smirks, reminding them that their own people picked a fight with Blue Star first, making this painful retaliation completely justified. Enraged at being singled out, the barbarian patriarch slams his fist, protesting that he's being forced to bear the consequences of a plan they all agreed to. An elven king tries to distance himself, saying their plan was only to help their own hero grow, not to antagonize the entire human race. But the demon girl brutally cuts him off, pinning the blame on the patriarch for not controlling his subordinate and demanding he accept the backlash. As the alliance begins to fracture, a mysterious winged figure calmly suggests there is still a way to solve their human problem. Her chilling proposal is simple. The barbarian blood race must initiate a rank, leap war, and try to wipe the humans from the tower completely. The winged queen reveals her sinister plan. A rank, leap war where the stakes are so high the humans won't be allowed to refuse. With her chilling proposal delivered, the holographic meeting ends, leaving the other leaders to contemplate their desperate gamble. Meanwhile, far away on the treacherous 125th floor, the Blood Moon Forest lies silent under an ominous red glow. But this deadly quiet is broken by Subai, who confidently strolls through the darkness testing a new strategy. His eyes flash with focus as he activates a time-based skill, awakening a monstrous swarm of bats. They dive to attack, but he doesn't even bother to turn, casually flicking a single ice arrow into the horde. The result is an instant, one-sided slaughter as critical hits wipe the creatures from existence. Yet even with this incredible efficiency, Subai is frustrated, realizing he's already hit the server's level cap. Deciding his current method is far too slow, he prepares to unleash his true power as countless glowing swords materialize around him. The entire forest then erupts in a storm of energy, instantly annihilating everything in sight with a devastating barrage of critical hits. A monstrous bat screeches as it dives, leading a swarm of creatures from the shadows. But Subai stands unfazed amidst their impaled bodies, his brutal experiment now complete. He then unleashes a cataclysmic spell, summoning a chaotic fire rain to obliterate the entire floor. Instantly, a world announcement declares he's not only cleared floor 125 but has shattered the previous record. Arriving on the next floor, the orc hunting grounds, he sighs, already bored and hungry for a real challenge. Immediately, a savage horde of orcs charges forward, ready to tear him apart. Yet a sinister grin spreads across Subai's face as he remembers why this floor was notoriously called Orcs Must Die. He then comes face to face with the massive level 125 Orc King, a beast of legendary size. But even this towering boss is dwarfed as Subai activates his S-rank giant god form, unleashing an avatar of pure, overwhelming power. The Orc King lets out a furious roar, refusing to be intimidated by the overwhelming power before him. But Subai just gives a crazed grin, seeing the perfect opportunity to end this tiresome fight. His colossal god form towers over the boss, a being of pure, untouchable blue energy. With a single apocalyptic swing of his blade, he shatters the Orc King's defenses and the very ground they stand on. Just half an hour later, he stands victorious over a mountain of corpses as a new world record flashes across the screen. But this easy victory sparks a chilling realization as he wonders if these monsters were once living races. This dark mystery only hardens his resolve to one day uncover all the tower's hidden truths. Meanwhile, thousands of other powerful Tier 2 players are beginning to make their move across the world. And far away in the Skywing territory, a secret conference between the world's most powerful leaders has already begun. The Orc Lord skeptically questions if Subai is truly willing to share the world's main quest. But beside the legendary Sword Immortal, Subai clarifies this isn't about profit, but for the survival of their entire world. Instantly, another faction leader slams the table in protest, his greed flaring as he declares the price isn't enough. Soon the meeting descends into a petty squabble as the world's most powerful rulers bicker over their share of the rewards. Even the Sword Immortal is left disgusted, realizing their greed leaves only a pathetic 20% for everyone else. That's when Subai silences the room with an ice-cold ultimatum. 80% goes to Blue Star, and they can fight over the scraps. The stunned leaders can only glare back in fury, warning the young upstart not to push his luck. Unfazed, Subai ends the negotiation himself, tearing the agreement to pieces as he prepares to walk away. As they leave, even the world's strongest player wonders if this kid can really handle the consequences of such an impossible gamble. Subai explains his cold logic to the elder, revealing that their world was doomed to be attacked with or without a deal. But he isn't worried about the human factions. His gaze is fixed on a far greater threat from the barbarian blood race. So he lays out a brilliant trap, announcing he'll auction off the main quest slots to turn greed into his greatest weapon. The system immediately explodes, rejecting over 1 million players and turning the quest into a frantic, high-stakes bidding war. His gambit pays off as legendary races like the Titans and Silver Dragons flock to his banner, eager to participate. With these powerful allies showing goodwill, it seems his audacious plan might just work. Yet as he watches from a high perch, he sees that some factions, like the relentless Skywings, are not so easily won over. Suddenly, 2 colossal silhouettes block out the sun, signaling the arrival of the very enemy he predicted. The barbarian Blood Prince himself steps into view, here to personally confront the man who shattered his family's record. Subai coldly warns the barbarian prince to get lost or face disqualification from his quest. But the prince ignores him, triggering a system-wide announcement for a rank leap war. He arrogantly dares Subai to accept the challenge, completely confident in his superior power. Even as the world's strongest player warns him against the shameless wager, Subai instantly accepts the fight. Meanwhile, the barbarian blood leadership watches in disbelief, furious at their prince for his reckless move. Back on the beach, Curtis presents the wager contract, a high-stakes gamble where the stronger race must risk far more. But Subai calmly agrees with a shocking twist. He will be the one setting the rules. He then demands an entire servant race be added to the wager, a stake of unimaginable value. The prince, finally realizing who he's dealing with, counters with a single condition of his own. The prince declares his final, insane condition. If Subai loses, he must sign a master-servant contract with the tribe. But the world's strongest player immediately objects, refusing to agree to such a reckless wager. Despite the warning, Subai simply calls the prince's provocation pathetic before calmly accepting the deal. With his acceptance, the system officially announces the rank leap war, confirming the impossible stakes and shocking the onlookers. Curtis roars with laughter at this seemingly suicidal decision, but Subai coolly orders his team to open the World Quest dungeon. His allies immediately obey, preparing to activate the key that will plunge them all into chaos. As the portal opens, the system reveals a horrifying twist. Every player will be randomly assigned a biological race in this war of extinction. Yet as the countdown begins, Subai only smirks, completely unfazed by the life-or-death gamble. He then turns to the Sword Immortal with a final command, revealing he'll be taking a different, far more dangerous path than everyone else. Subai smirks, his master plan falling perfectly into place as he declares that all his prey has taken the bait. He is then teleported into the World Dungeon, a desolate wasteland filled with the bones of fallen creatures. Suddenly, he bursts from the ground, not as a human, but as a low-level skeleton, a disastrous race assignment that could spell his doom. His new body is so fragile he can barely hold himself together, stumbling pathetically through the barren landscape. Checking his status, he finds himself reset to level 1 with everything locked, except for his one critical cheat skill, the Time Authority. But even in this hopeless state, memories from his past life surface, reminding him of a hidden S-rank route located in this very plateau. With a new plan forming, he scavenges for a weapon, determined to leverage his time powers to start leveling up from nothing. He finds a tattered cloak, just as a strange, chilling breeze blows across the cursed land, a sign of the dangers to come. Looking up, he spots his first targets in the sky, and vows to use these creatures to begin his impossible climb back to power. With a single throw, Subai takes down his first target, instantly leveling up and unlocking the World Quest rankings. But when he checks the leaderboard, he's ranked dead last at 2,519th. A harsh reminder that even for the powerful, luck is everything. Dismissing the rankings for now, his only path forward is to scavenge this wasteland for anything to help him grow stronger. Suddenly, another creature swoops down from the sky, stealing his only weapon right out of his bony hand. After some time, he manages to reach level 5, but even then, his stats are so pathetic he can only lament his own weakness. Just then, the ground begins to tremble violently, and he senses the approach of what can only be a massive army. In the distance, a legion of mounted warriors thunders across the desolate plains, heading towards a colossal rock wall. Instead of fear, a smile creeps across his skeletal face, realizing this unexpected war is the perfect opportunity to level up like crazy. As the two forces clash, his eyes lock onto a powerful figure leading the charge, wondering if a hero has already appeared on this battlefield. He instantly recognizes the knight hero, remembering from his past life that only by subverting the hero's path can one achieve the highest rank. With no time to waste, he abandons observation and dives headfirst into the chaotic battlefield to steal kills and level up. His first strike is a devastating one-shot, instantly slaying a Tier 3 monster and flooding him with a massive surge of experience. He becomes a shadow of death on the field, scavenging kills from the fallen, and watching his notifications stack up at an insane rate. But after an hour of slaughter, a new threat appears as ominous birds begin to circle the sky. Forcing him to make a quick escape, he knows these divine scavengers will cleanse the battlefield, and if they spot a weakling like him, they'll snatch him up without a second thought. Meanwhile, in the distant Lordaeron Holy City, a powerful woman furiously admonishes a laughing group of players. This is the sword immortal Lihul, and she points a finger at her followers, demanding they recognize the incredible opportunity before them. She reveals that their cool human race is far superior, warning them not to let the efforts of a man named Subai go to waste.